Ooh, Wendy.
I do. What are we doing over here? I was flashing in and out. Okay, let's before we get to anything. Brock app news. You've been tweaking the app. It's in the app store or it's getting through Apple or whatever.
It is in the app store.
It needs to be reviewed.
It's still under review, which means I can't fix anything.
Right.
That could be wrong.
It's ridiculous, but this is the hand we're dealt. And so I'm number 800. Yay.
And let me say to tech support, tech support saved me from strangling someone last night.
You mean her name Kate?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. It's always nice to have somebody in your wheelhouse who knows a lot more about computer stuff.
But it's still agitating.
Of course.
Because
wait a minute. No. Go ahead. Finish your thought.
I spent hours figuring this out, right? But I couldn't figure out why it wasn't letting me do it, right? And Kate sits down, and within like 3 minutes, God love her, she's like, "Oh, your Apple developer thing needs re-upped."
Did she say it like a yinzer?
Yes,
got it.
And then it was like, and I had to create a privacy policy. I'm like, I'll just go through and use what they use as examples, you know. And she's like, "Oh, wait." Types it into Grok. Grok comes up with this big thing. I'm like, I'm not an AI guy, but I kind of like that Grok.
So while Brock was doing that, wanting to throw somebody down the stairs,
yes,
I had the waterproofing guys out, to take care of the problem. They were there, Jack told me, for 3 hours. They brought all this sheeting in so they could go up and down and in and out. Blah, 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 blah. 3 hours later, I was like, thank goodness. So I get my coffee this morning and I'm just feeling pretty beep, 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 beep. And I'm like, no. See,
and they expected you to fix it with
no. So
let me cut it. Let me butt in for a second.
I don't know what you want me to do.
Let me. We get on the stream in the early morning, and she's like, "Guess what I heard?" And I'm like, I'm thinking there's some gossip or something. She's like, beep, 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 beep. I'm like, and my thought is they expected you to fix it by just saying, reset that.
So, and then Cozy Earth has been a nightmare in terms of there's some keystroke that's wrong or whatever. And their people are looking at it and our people are looking at it. But the BOGO, Wendy BOGO, if you go into their store, cozyearth.com, go under Valentine's, look at the PJs, buy a pair of pajamas for somebody and get one for you, and then put in the promo code Wendy BOGO, and it'll take off the one. That's been a bummer, and I'm sorry about that.
Yeah, it's just the PJs.
Just the PJs right now. We're working on one that is a promo site-wide. I'm like, I want to buy Michael. She says it must be discounted. Well, and if I want it discounted, our people want it discounted. So cozyearth.com, Wendy BOGO is at least that.
If you don't get that, get Michael the PJs.
Men don't wear PJs, Brock. Newsflash.
I have a text that says Michael would enjoy the PJs.
I want to tell you quickly. Shut up. It's ridiculous. Let's get this out, and it's important. There are a lot of different ways people are losing weight these days. If you want help because you're worried about your underlying health, right? You're not just like, well, I put on 20 pounds. It's time for me to dump it, right? But you're like, I have underlying questions. I think my hormones might be wacky. I think something's going on. My gut hasn't been working right. I think there's something more that I need, and it's not going to be solved merely by a pill or a shot. I need that whole body treatment. I want you to know that is bodybyAIM360.com. 412-227-9255, where they monitor all of this. They create a plan that's based on your blood, and they check you, right? They give you what you need, and they give you the counseling and the coaching to lose, Brock lost 70 pounds. So if that's what you want to do, they have a special going right now. A month of the GLP, the shots for weight loss, strictly monitored by them. for half off. $249 for a month, which is huge. 412-227-9255, Body by AIM, 360.com. And if you're out of Pennsylvania, that doesn't mean you're off this program. You don't get to take care of it. You can go to bodybyAIM360.com or call them, and they'll help you.
Tomorrow's scale day.
Oh, shucks. That's right. I've got to go root around and find. I've got to wear like a sports bra and like, I don't know, shorts. Because, that's what I always wear. And Darren's like, are you going to be okay with that? And I was like, I mean, like, what's my answer going to be?
My answer was, oh, hell no.
No. Well, he wanted you to come in all shirtless and everything.
Yeah. And I'm like, in like shorts. I'm like, no. First off, I don't wear shorts that.
Shorts.
Yeah. Things.
Shorts. And the ones that I'm going to wear are going to be,
Yeah. No.
It's not a good look.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Welcome to your daily dose of facts to fight off the liberal gaslighting.
You can be in the middle of a hurricane.
You have sanctuary in the city of Chicago.
Or you can be on a calm day. North is still north. You could be in a thunderstorm.
I am angry. We are not going back. Not ever.
North is still north. People can yell at you.
The hell with the Supreme Court. We will defy them.
North is still north. It doesn't change fundamental things. And in this business, right is still right, even if you stand by yourself.
We don't get fooled again. No.
Live across the fruited plain and from sea to shining sea, we're converting the Marxist left 1 hour at a time on the Wendy Bell radio program.
Hello, America. Greetings to all of you and good afternoon. Welcome home to the Wendy Bell radio program, Common Sense Conservative Values, delivered by a mom. And I should say I'm a mom of boys, and I think that makes a difference because I don't know. My world might be a little bit different than yours, but I see through the BS, and we like to say, come on up to 30,000 feet, take a look down on the landscape and see what everybody's running around talking about. Because whatever they're talking about isn't what you and I should be talking about, and that is what we do on this show. We go through all of the news. We give you what we think is necessary. We put it out a rundown. What a risk is that? We put out our whole show before we even get started. Go to locals.com and plug in Wendy Bell Radio. You'll find us. And then we just tell you the truth. Okay? So if you like that, wendybellradio.com, join us and keep coming back. Okay? We love you. Thank you for being here. Welcome home. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Amen. You guys ever know when it's just not your week? Sometimes it's not your day. Sometimes it's like a Tuesday and a Thursday. Some days it's just the freaking week. I've had a week. It started earlier as I was leaving the radio studio the other day, getting on the highway. There's a nice long overpass or on-ramp onto the highway where I passed Marcus, the carcass, who decomposed for 16 months until he became dust and a big wind blew him away. That was fun. And so I'd get on the highway, right? And anybody who's already on the highway has a good chance of seeing me, right? It's a long entrance. So apparently I didn't look carefully enough in my blind spot. And I do. I'm one of those drivers who does the look, right? I'm not just I'm going to look in my mirror, because how many times have you almost gotten killed doing that? So I literally did. I looked, but I guess my dirty windows from the snow and the sun coming in, I guess I didn't see this Mustang. And the guy who was driving this Mustang, all souped up. I didn't see him. The windows were totally tinted. And he swerved around me, aggressively got in front of me and slammed on his brakes. Guys, I'm trying to get up to 60, 65 to get on the highway, right? Slams on his brakes, literally almost takes the entire highway into a standstill. The guy behind me in some white minivan starts fishtailing because, they've salted our highways after the snow. So this guy behind me is doing this. The Mustang in front of me starts going again, guns it, and then slams on his brakes 2 more times. Literally almost causes a cataclysmic pileup on the freaking highway. Why? Was he really pissed that I didn't see him? Like, I'm sorry. No, there's something going on in this dude's world. I don't know, but you don't need to try to kill a bunch of strangers over it, right? And then it was amazing. I asked my son, Jack, I'm like, hey, Jacko. So the only time these waterproofing guys can come over and take a look and take a look at the monitor in the basement, the one after we got flooded. And then we went downstairs and there was like this much water. And then the guys came in and they had to cut out like 3 feet of our walls. Remember that? We lost all of this stuff in our basement. Remember? Yeah, because I do. And then they came in and jackhammered everything and there was dust everywhere blowing around the house where you got into bed and there was crumbles of stuff in your bed. And you're like, how did that get there? Oh, well, it traveled from the basement. Excellent. Well, the system hasn't been working right. Beep, 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 beep. So like every 5 minutes, it does that noise. So I got in touch with them and they're like, we're coming out tomorrow. We'll be there at 11. So I said to Jack, not going to be there. Can you help a sister out? He's like, not a problem. So I got home yesterday. I'm like, how did it go with them? Oh, very nice. Very clean. Good guys. They put out, plastic. So there was no mess. And they said they just had to replace the whole dang thing. It was a little outdated, he said. So they fixed it. So Jack, thank you so much. Appreciate it. Yeah, you know where this is going. So beep, 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 beep. So I wake up this morning and get my coffee. And I'm literally walking to the couch and it's beep, 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 beep. And I'm like, no. That's not happening, right? All I needed was Murphy to do. That's all I needed for the whole week. I'm done. I've realized, you guys, that they're just sometimes the stars are not aligned for you. And if you get behind a lot of slow traffic repeatedly, days in a row, if nothing seems to go the way it's supposed to, at some point you have to give in and just be like, all right, Lord, I'm yours. Have some mercy. Tell me what you want. I'm your girl. I just need to get out of this terrible doldrum, right? So then I'm at the gym this morning and a study pops up on Fox News. She was listening to Fox News, so we were watching together. It was a study, ladies and gentlemen, breaking news. I remember not that long ago when we were told, you really want to be careful about your coffee intake. Too much caffeine, I'm telling you what, it can really be bad for you. And you're like, really? Like what? Well, it can raise your risk of cardiovascular death. Fantastic. That's swell. It can also raise your, the premature ventricular contractions and your cholesterol. And you're like, oh my gosh. And then today they're like, you know what? You should really be drinking a lot more coffee. 3 to 5 cups a day at least. And usually in the morning, that's best for you, says this new study, right? So who do you believe? What's going on? I have no idea. But I am going to say that I find it very intriguing that President Trump has now weighed in on this NBC anchor woman, Savannah Guthrie's mom's disappearance. You can't get away from this story, right? And I'm kind of curious about this story. I mean, it's awful. Here you have a woman, Savannah Guthrie, NBC, whatever she does, whatever. And her mom lives in Arizona. Mom's in her 80s, I would presume, because Savannah's a little bit younger than I am. And mom goes out to dinner with Savannah's sister, her daughter, and husband. Husband drops her off at home, makes sure she gets inside, everything's cool, and then kind of all hell breaks loose because she goes to church every Sunday, and she wasn't there. And people started going, wait a minute, what's going on? And she's been abducted. And it's like the weirdest thing. Why her? What's up with this family? Is Savannah Guthrie working on a story? Doubtful. When did the media ever work on anything, right? Did like the cartel, right? Did they steal her? What happened? Was it somebody in the family? Was it a relative? No idea. And now all of a sudden the president is involved. Okay, I want to find the woman too, and I can only imagine as we listened, literally Fox News covered the story for the hour I was at the gym today for 43 minutes. Swear to God. The same thing over, and they were opining. Bill Hemmer was even talking about the moon. He was like, well, you know, when she was abducted, it was a full moon, so maybe there's going to be some cameras in the area that's going to. I'm like, really? This is what we have 450,000 missing unaccompanied alien children missing in this country. This administration has found, what, almost 200,000 of them? That's breaking news. That's a bigger story, I'm sorry, than everything else going on. Right? Where's the coverage of those things? Where's the coverage? Where's the news? Do you know how many stories I share with you on this program and audio sound bites that Brock or I find on X that the media do not cover? Literally, there is nothing about it. Savannah Guthrie's mom, Nancy Guthrie, all over the news. It's all you can read about. I just don't understand it. And then we have these hearings yesterday in the Senate. Did you see this? In the Senate and the House. Did you see Maxine Waters with her resting ugly face? I'm telling you, it is a very ugly face. She's very dour. She's very sour, very drawn, and she always looks angry and is a jerk. And she's got Secretary of the Treasury, Scott Bessent, sitting in the chair, who knows infinitely more than you and I combined, likely, about business and finance and interest rates and banks and credit cards and all of that stuff, right? And she's trying to finger wag him and reclaim her time and all of this. It is so unbecoming. It is so embarrassing. And I think that's where I am today. I'm in this knot because it's like everywhere I look, people's behavior or the results of things that they do don't add up. Problems aren't getting solved. We're not moving forward. And there was a hearing yesterday where some goofball for an NGO supported by the Open Society Foundation, which is George Soros Foundation, right? So dark, deep scumbag money funding an NGO that puts out information that basically everything they disagree with is racist, right? This is where we are. Don't pay attention to the fraud. Don't pay attention to the people who allowed it to happen. Don't dig into our congressmen and women and identify the baffling and just remarkable good fortune of their bank accounts, right? Don't pay attention to the focus on, for some reason, now that Jeffrey Epstein stuff hasn't stuck the landing, it's all about Nancy Guthrie. Isn't it odd to anybody else? Because you know what I'm going to tell you it's about. It's about exposing all of the people who long ago stopped working for us and making sure they never slither back in. That's where we're going today, my friends. I'm reclaiming our time, ladies and gentlemen. J.D. Vance sitting down with Megyn Kelly yesterday talking about the SAVE Act. Apparently, it's on the docket. I got the deets for you. Don't go anywhere. You're tuned in to the Wendy Bell Radio Network. Okay. Beep, 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 beep. I was like this. And then it happened 5 minutes later. Beep, 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 beep. And I was like, you've got to be kidding me. And I don't know if it happened again because I started glazing over. I was like, drinking my coffee, staving off Alzheimer's. Yeah, apparently that's what this, I don't know, Johns Hopkins coffee study. And then at the end, they were like, oh, by the way, there's an added benefit. Apparently it helps, prevent Alzheimer's or something. I'm like, don't you think that would be the lead story? Hey! Right? But just like a hot cup of coffee ago, right? They're like, oh, it's bad for you. I trust no one. Everybody sucks. So. Except all of you, because you're going to help us with the rumbles today. Look at you going 1.53. We're going to hit 2 before the bottom. I know we are. We were number 6 on the leaderboard yesterday. How are you doing? All right. So Mary Beth thinks I was able to go up from 22 and a half pounds, right, to 25 today. And I got through 10. I did it twice, and it was a struggle. I'm just going to tell you, I would not have done that before without Blood Flow 7. There is just no way. There is just no way that the advancements that I make in the leg press, I'm up to what? I don't know, 90 pounds or what have you. For somebody who's 120 pounds to be able to do that, I'm telling you, this makes a difference. Bloodflow7.com. Brock is taking the male version of it. I mean, men can take this one too, but if there was something that was about your testosterone and about your male fabulosity, wouldn't you want that? I would. Alpha Gold Male. Bloodflow 7. Bloodflow7.com/Wendy. I think there's a 30% off discount. It's not expensive. It's like less than $1 a day. I'll never go without it. Because when I do on the weekends, I feel like poo. Bloodflow7.com/Wendy. Tell me you're going to bookmark it. Okay? Bloodflow7.com/Wendy. There you go. Slow start. I'm going to say this, very slow start to the show, but you guys have great views. We're ending every day in at least 80s to 100s, right? And then the views after the show are tremendous. You guys remember you can like during after hours because we monitor, our friend Alan monitors how many people like us after the show and how many like us during it. You guys are a strong voting block. We sold out of Brock's mugs. I know. You guys bought both, and we are deeply gratified by that. So now the scramble to make more. So we don't want to make you wait, right? But you have to wait because we have to make them. Jolene, get off your ass. Let's get it done.
Wow.
Just kidding. And then we'll have them for you. So thank you. Thank you. WendyBellRadio.com. All of the stuff is there. I think you're going to love them. I mean, well, it's this, right? This isn't so big. It's not about who gets to vote. It's about who counts the vote, whether those votes get counted. So Kelly Pigeon, our voice guy, a couple years ago, put together this beautiful open for one of the top of the hours. And hopefully Brock can dust it off because it's important. This is exactly where we are. And JD Vance makes mention of it sitting down with Megyn Kelly yesterday. And it's a great soundbite because he's talking about the SAVE Act. You know, let's talk even just basically. This is a thing that's not complicated. The majority of people, Republicans, Democrats, Independents, black, white, whatever you are, the majority, plurality, 3 out of 4, 4 out of 5 people say you should have to prove that you're an American and this is who you are with a photo ID in order to vote. It's not complicated. They do it everywhere. They do it all over the world. It's not like this is some discriminatory thing. But JD Vance brings up a really interesting point. He's like, look, the deep state doesn't want to give up the control over who gets to count the vote because that is where all of the garbage takes place. Listen.
Well, we're working very hard right now to get the Senate to approve it because if the Senate approves it, we think the House would approve it too. Now, that would require, I think, some Republican senators who maybe they're a little too attached to the filibuster, maybe they're a little too attached to Senate procedure. This is about the integrity of American democracy. Like, do the people control who they elect, or do some shady people? It's like who actually controls the people who cast the ballots or the people who count the ballots? We want the sovereignty to be with the people who cast the ballots, and that's why we have to get the SAVE Act passed. And you'll hear people say all the time, and I love this argument. They'll say, well, if you look at this precinct, only 3 illegal aliens voted in this election. Number one, that's 3 illegal aliens too many. And number two, if it's not a big problem, then why not just allow us to check ID and exercise some basic precautions to prevent illegal aliens from voting. I never quite understand the person who says, on the one hand, this never happens, and on the other hand, your effort to prevent it from happening is a threat to American democracy, which is fundamentally the Democrats' argument. By the way, it's like an 85-15 issue.
Yeah.
Most Democrats want voter ID because they want to protect their own vote.
But the elected leaders don't want to vote for it.
The elected leaders don't, because they know that the more control they give to the people who are counting the ballots, as opposed to those who are casting the ballots, the more control they will have.
100%. None of this is complicated. Isn't it so silly? We're running in circles, pants on fire. We have the theatrics of Maxine Waters with that nasty face, mean, interrupting, being rude, being everything that makes you uncomfortable, and certainly not conduct becoming a sitting congresswoman. I don't believe it's gross, no matter who does it. If you don't control the machines and you don't control the ballots and you don't control how those ballots are counted, you're not in control. Okay? Wow, that was like the smartest thing I've ever said in my life. We're going to have to go back and remember what that was because I've already forgotten it. But it's true. House to vote next week to require citizenship check and photo ID for voting, upping Senate pressure. So, House Majority Leader Steve Scalise said the floor vote will force the Democrats to declare where they stand on two election integrity items widely supported by Americans. Hell, I know exactly how the Democrats are. I want to know how the Republicans are. That's what I want to flush out. That's what this is to me. So let's read a little bit about the timing here. U.S. House of Representatives going to vote next week on a new bill that would require all states to check both citizenship and photo identification before allowing voters to cast ballots, combining two widely popular election integrity provisions and ramping up pressure on a Senate that has been unwilling to consider either mandate. Like, we have the majority. This is Trump's first term, right? This is the same setup. You had the majority. What did you do besides not a whole lot? House Majority Leader Steve Scalise and Representative Chip Roy confirmed in an interview Wednesday night with Just the News that the vote will be held next week for the Save America Act. That's why it's called the Save America, because it's those two mushed into one, which combines the two requirements that have passed the House individually but have not received a vote in the GOP-controlled Senate. This should be a freaking slam dunk. This is where your old fossils with ranked choice voting, Murkowski, who gets a seat given to her by her father and then festers and sucks wind for how many decades, right? And sweetheart, you need to change your profile picture because I'm sorry, it ain't even close to what you look like now. Maybe it's time to retire, okay? Roy is the chief sponsor of the legislation in the House, joined by Senator Mike Lee. In the Senate, I'm announcing that we are bringing Chip's bill to Save America Act to the floor next week. Scalise said it in this interview. So it's on the floor. Everybody has to pick a side. Do you want to make sure that only American citizens vote in elections and that you have to show an ID to vote? You can't get into a bar. You can't get on an airplane without an ID. And if we want to make sure the franchise of America's democracy is in place, let's do this as well. Now, I would imagine anybody who votes against this, we should investigate their district. We should investigate the fraud and crime and all of the abuse that's been going on where they are because they wanted to continue with that vote. It should be a signal, big sign for rent, my Senate seat. When we come back on the Wendy Bell radio program, the interview, or rather the audio you need to hear, David Hoke, Nick Shirley's guy in Minneapolis, absolutely schools Congress. And which it's the best audio of the day. Don't miss it next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network. I can't even describe it because it's just, there's nothing rude or ridiculous in it. It's straight facts, and it's a man who loves his country, and he's calling out the elected representatives who have not done their jobs. Period. It's not like this was a big secret. Nobody knew what was going on. Everybody knew what was going on. Come on. I know I'm a little sassy today. I'm sorry.
Certainly have 100 opens to go through.
Well, if you can't find it, you can't find it. I didn't know if they were, I don't know how you keep them.
They're labeled, but like I have to shift them in and out. So let's see if I can find it.
Well, don't kill yourself, but. So yesterday I had, I'd literally had enough. And you know, when you just feel your head's pounding, and if you're not good at slowing down your heart rate or your breathing or just being able to hit the brakes and be like, okay, nothing's going my way. I'd better just sit here. Let's gather myself and just regroup. I started to panic, and I was very upset that I did not have calm mood with me. I really thought that if I had had this at home, and I'm going to take a couple and put them in my bag, that I would have been able to sit there and in probably 15 minutes, thanks to this microgel formula that is so absorbable by your body, right? Suck it in. Delicious flavors, supplements that are more likely to get into your bloodstream and down to the cells that need it. It's the whole point. Let's get what we need, but let's make it efficient. This is an efficient transportation vehicle. I wanted this. Calm Mood. Calm Mood has really great stuff in it. Let me put my glasses on. I should also be taking my eye one. Soothing herbal extracts, vitamins, and adaptogens, including ashwagandha, 5-HTP, and L-theanine for relaxation and occasional stress relief. And it's a berry lemon flavored. So if you have not yet explored the realm of Healthy Cell, I love their stuff. There's a Healthy Cell formula for everybody, and there's a discount there if it's your first order. I think it's 20% off. So stock up and get this stuff. Get the focus and the recall. I'm telling you, if you have a presentation or something where you have to be like, my kids loved it on the SAT. Natural. Healthycell.com/Wendy.
Worked out yesterday, so we both had days.
Yeah, he was dealing with technology mumbo jumbo, that's just not my lane. But I had that the week prior with this stupid update.
Yeah.
Apple and their dumbass updates. My phone, the computer all fudged up. I had to change all sorts of stuff around. It was completely discombobulated.
But it's, the statement "misery loves company," totally true.
Because I'm
she complained. I'm like, okay, well, let me tell you.
And he's like, well, I can kind of understand because blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, oh, that sucks. Okay, you win.
I didn't win. It was, you had one thing after another. Mine was a continuous. And there's nothing worse when you sit there trying to figure something out and someone comes in and goes, oh. And you're just like, I just spent 2 hours.
No, I think the great part about that, though, is that you figured it out. So then you have, like, so much of what we do, you do workarounds around things that aren't working the way they should because there are bugs and, oh, you need to download this fix. And I'm like, that's the virus that launches in 2 years that drowns everything down.
That's
so I'm like,
Trojan
God bless
horse.
America. So I have to go get a new freaking phone. It's all a racket. Verizon and Apple. Remember the good old days when we didn't have this and we were outside looking at the sunshine, eating a sandwich, right? I don't know why eating a sandwich is always my thing. So Jack just went and got pastrami.
What's
super great. Jacko just went and got super thinly shaved pastrami. Then he got all these fabulous cheeses and he got the deli rye and they sliced it for him.
Did he make a Reuben?
He made a melt yesterday. Yes. With Thousand Island dressing and the whole freaking kit and caboodle.
So there were no leftovers?
And then he ate it 2 hours before dinner. I'm like, how do you do that? I'd be full until next Tuesday. And he was just like, all right. No wonder my food smells like that. Doesn't that sound good? You're thinking about a Reuben right now, aren't you? You are. You're thinking about corned beef. You're thinking about pastrami. You're thinking about something fabulous and melty, even a grilled cheese.
I will say on a cold day, a grilled cheese with some tomato soup.
Oh, grilled cheese.
Do you dip yours?
No.
I do.
Yeah, I could tell. You're also somebody who, when having biscuits and gravy, takes his fork and puts it flat and goes like that and like that to get the gravy at the end. Yes or no?
Yeah.
Yes or
Well,
no?
I'll
Yes.
use my eggs and everything else. Why would I leave any gravy on the plate?
I couldn't get
leave it
through
so
it.
that I hand it back to
No,
the
I do
waitress and
do
say,
that.
"You can put this back in the." It's
Yeah.
like my dog
I
in
don't
his
mind
bowl.
that. Or I'll look.
Oh yeah, because that's just kosher. That's much better.
Well,
than...
I can. They think I'm cute when I do it. You look like a slob, but there's difference. I have no idea. Okay.
Oh, you have no idea. but
I
you're
just
gonna
I
take
think I might
shot
have
at
peed a
me.
little bit.
Great.
Okay. Woo! Welcome back to the Wendy Bell Radio program. You know, I can say something that's not even remotely political that I think everybody out there would agree with. We want a government that actually helps us before the crap hits the fan, right? We want a proactive, not a reactive government. We don't want somebody reacting when things go sideways. We want a government that does things before things go sideways to protect us. It shouldn't be complicated. The amount of taxes that you and I pay, right? Like, when was the last time you're like, that is money well spent? That is money well spent. When I leave my trainer after I pay her and I'm like, you know what? I got my money's worth. It's a joke, but it's not. She kicked my butt. That's what I paid for. Well, what's going on? What's happening with this? This is the best testimony. And the most perfect spokesman to give it is a beleaguered Minneapolis taxpayer who has sat where he works and has looked out the windows and is surrounded by these industrial buildings where we're supposed to believe children are being taken care of at daycares, right? And it's so wholly unbelievable. He's like, there's no playground equipment. I don't see anybody's footsteps in the snow. I don't see anybody dropping off children. And some of them are ridiculous. They're like 24 hours. He's like, who lets their kid go to a daycare overnight? It's total BS. Bang, 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 right? Beep, 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 beep. That's what it is. And so he testified before the Senate yesterday. This is David Hoke. This is Nick Shirley's quote unquote sidekick. He's not a sidekick. He's the guy who gave him all the details. He's been digging into this for years. He was waving the flag for years. Told everybody, Amy Klobuchar, Tim Walz, Jacob Fry, all of them. What are you doing? And the people in the Department of Health and Human Services, or whatever that division is, they all knew. And so he's testifying. This is his opening statement before the Senate panel yesterday. In audio soundbite number 1, he absolutely schools these senators. And he's like, look, this is how I started paying attention and started doing the research. You have to just open your eyes and use your common sense, and you can see some ain't adding up here.
My journey into uncovering fraud in Minnesota, and ultimately throughout the entire United States, as it turns out, began when I started to notice very unusual changes in the Minneapolis area. Remember, I grew up there, so I know Minneapolis very well. Most notably, the enormous number of child care facilities that had opened up. I would drive around the Twin Cities, and it seemed these child care facilities were literally on every block. Some blocks had 2 or 3 child care facilities on the same block. Minnesota sees a fair amount of snow in the winter, and I began to notice, driving by these child care facilities, there were never any footprints in the snow outside these child care facilities. And I'd go by them 3, 4, 5 times a day, Monday through Friday, because my office is in the heart of where a lot of these child care facilities are. So I said, well, what's going on here with all these child care facilities? So I began to check the Minnesota Secretary of State's website to find out just who owned all these child care facilities. And guess what? Every single one of them was Somali owned. Not every child care facility in Minnesota was, but the ones that I was looking at that were by my office, and there were a lot of them. What's even stranger is that every one of these facilities is located in a commercial or industrial building, no play areas, bad neighborhoods, and several of the child care facilities had signage which stated they were open either 7 a.m. to 10 p.m., 2 p.m. to 10 p.m., Quality Learning Center, for example, or open 24 hours. Who the heck brings their kid to stay overnight at a child care facility in a rough neighborhood? None of it made any sense. The leering misspelling was the final straw for me. That's the spark that ignited my full-on investigation.
That full-on investigation involved digging into the licensing. In order to say that you're a daycare and in order to get government money, you have to have this or that, and it depends on what services you're offering. If you're alleging that you're an around-the-clock daycare outfit, which I've never heard of in my life, okay, never heard of it, then you've got a certain kind of bridge you've got to cross in order to get the license. And this is where David says he started getting very, very interested.
So Minnesota has 2 different child care licenses available. One covers 6 a.m. to 6 p.m., and the other one covers 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. They're 2 very different licenses. So for a child care facility to be open 24 hours a day or even from 2 p.m. to 10 p.m., they need both licenses. How many of these facilities that are open these extended hours have 2 licenses? None of them. 0. They all have only 1 license. Minnesota child care supervision requirements include the following. For infant care, that's 0 to 17 months of age, you have to have 1 adult supervising for every 4 children, and max 8 in a group. For toddlers, which is 18 and 23 months of age, it requires 1 adult for every 5 children to supervise, max 10 children in that group. For 2-year-olds, you need 1 adult for every 7 children, so max 14 in a group. So if a child care facility was billing the state of Minnesota for 99 children, i.e. Quality Living Center, that child care facility would need to have at least 8 employees supervising those children. These cannot be 1099 employees. They have to be W-2 employees. That means we're going to have at least 8 W-2s, and we're going to have at least 8 I-9s. So if the feds went in and checked that, what do you think they're going to find? You already know the answer.
He does more than the agency whose job is to regulate that industry and to make sure, lo and behold, 1, that no child is getting abused, that they're not in dangerous situations, that there's not, sharp objects or chokeable things nearby or what have you, whatever they do. They're not even doing that, right? They're not even making sure there's people there. And then he says, wait a minute, in my investigation, some people have said it's racist because it seems to target this one individual community. Well, maybe, but it is so prevalent and it is so obvious, and it exploded with this community under COVID with the clowns who've been running our Department of Health and Human Services. Listen.
One issue that is often brought up is that we are unfairly targeting the Somali community. This is a fair point to be made. As one Somali gentleman exclaimed in our second video, we're not the only community that does fraud. Fraud certainly exists in every community. It was the sheer volume and the blatant nature of the Somali fraud that demanded my attention. When one facility, Mako Childcare, has another childcare, mini childcare, registered at the same address, but the sign still says Mako Childcare, it kind of stands out. And again, no children, no footprints in the snow, ever. This is what I mean by being blatant. Misspelled signage, posted hours that require 2 licenses, no child footprints in the snow, not even once. So how did we arrive at this point? Why are we having this hearing? We got here because of politicians, almost exclusively Democrats. A couple of names come to mind. Jody Harpstead, the former commissioner of the Department of Human Services, and Shireen Gandhi, the current commissioner of the Minnesota Department of Human Services. Harpstead put the whole fraud on steroids. She was steering the ship from 2019 to 2025 during the COVID-19 pandemic. This is when the whole fraud network exploded into what we see nationally today and to what we see in my numbers, which are accurate.
And he holds them up. I've got my details. I'm sharing with you the details. I've made it easy for you. And he's not done. He says, look, now is your time. Now is your moment. I've given you the ball. I'm running up to you with the baton. And I know you're in the crouch. Get ready to go. And here's the handoff. What are you going to do with it? Listen.
So Now we hear that the Minnesota Department of Human Service is forging documents and backdating paperwork, all in an effort to cover up their complicity in this fraud. This is just more criminal behavior from the gang at Minnesota Department of Human Services. It's criminal behavior. Minneapolis was the incubator for this nationwide fraud, which we're now seeing in Maine. We're seeing it in Washington State. We're seeing it in Columbus, Ohio. It was constructed here in Minneapolis. And the idea behind it was if you can get a population in here and fit them into this fraud framework, you have a guaranteed voting block for all eternity. The fraud was started and then it expanded out, and now you see it all around the country. So why is fraud bad? Why is it a bad thing? Why does anybody care? Fraud is bad because it steals from the blind, it steals from kids with cancer, it steals from disabled, it steals from the homeless, it steals from wounded veterans, it steals from everybody in this room.
It steals from everybody. And think about the nefariousness of what he just alleged. These people didn't come here from Somalia escaping civil war and then hatch a mastermind. They're like Joe Biden. They were selected as the plants. The operation went through them and they benefited from it, but it wasn't their mastermind. They were the chess pieces. Those were the people through whom this dark stealing, theft, generational wealth from the American people happened. And this is where he finger wags the congressmen and senators sitting rather right in front of him. Listen.
What is the answer? How do we fix this? The way we fix this is that the federal government has to go to the Minnesota Department of Human Services and every social service agency and say, look, if you issue a payment using federal money and it goes to a fraudulent company, you run the risk of us coming in, arresting you, handcuffing you, parading you out, bringing you in front of a judge, and putting you in prison. So if you're going to issue a payment, you better make sure that it's a legitimate company. Otherwise, don't issue the payment. Go on Google Earth. Look at, it's a liquor store. It's a grocery store. Why are you issuing payment to a child care or a transportation company that doesn't even exist? Why are you issuing a payment? It's criminal behavior. The federal government has to use that cudgel over these people and say, look, you better be sure if you issue that payment that it's a legitimate payment or you could end up in prison. Thank you.
And later on in the hearing, I wanted to just squeeze this one in before the break. He says, look, Tim Walz admitted early on in his term that he was aware of this. And do you know that he has a statutory obligation to report it so investigators can come in and fight it? And he did not do that. This dude schooled all of these people on the law. Listen.
So going back to whether Governor Walz knew about it, Governor Walz admitted knowing about the fraud early in his first term, which would say 2020. Well, Minnesota statute 3.971 subdivision 9 clearly says that if you are made aware of fraud in a state agency, you are obligated to immediately report that fraud to the Office of the Legislative Auditor. Immediately. The Legislative Auditor is then the body that determines which law enforcement agency to bring into the investigation. Governor Walz did not contact the Office of the Legislative Auditor. He said he contacted the FBI about what? That's not what the law says.
It seems to me, ladies and gentlemen, that they pissed off the wrong person, right? Somebody who paid attention, somebody who did a little bit of homework, somebody who cracked the code. And then it all started to unravel, kind of like what we did on this program during COVID when they tried to tell us that all these children were dying because of the virus. And we're like, let's check the data. And it's cumbersome, it's laborious, but when you hit it and you see what they're doing to lie to you and deceive you, I'm telling you what, gloves off. America's reclaiming its time, ladies and gentlemen. When we come back, did you hear Democrats want all the ballots back from Fulton County? They're suing for it. What you worried about? Next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network. So they've got some toxic white college-educated liberal chick in charge of the Department of Human Services during COVID. And then they got some, DEI. I don't know. How else can you look at it? How else can you look at it? Somebody who obviously doesn't know how to do their job, who's put into position because of the color of their skin or because of their plumbing. It's obnoxious. To be perfectly honest with you, if the entire world functions better with one kind of person, let's do it. I don't care. Can we be functional? Can we be productive? Can we do things that don't suck?
You know what this proved too is generations can work together. Nick Shirley knew the power of social media and YouTube, and David.
Let me edit this together. You've got the intel.
Let's go through this.
Let's peanut butter and chocolate this bad boy, and let's make it happen, right? I think it's fascinating. Dr. Rafferty reached out to me this morning. He's like, Wendy, check your email. I'm going to have so-and-so in the office send you some of our testimonials. The testimonials from the Disc Institute of Pittsburgh are always, I don't know how you, in a few words, write what it's like to no longer be in pain because of a disc in your back, in your spine that's out of whack. And that it's part of the collateral damage of getting older. We're all going to have some semblance of issue that will require, most of us will require a back doctor. And Dr. Rafferty's that guy. And he's like, look, I've got this procedure and it's really great for a lot of people who aren't interested in rolling the dice on dangerous, risky surgery. And he's like, so it's called intradisc neutrosis and it's non-surgical. You don't bleed. Nobody's cutting into you. There's no needles. But it's time. It's 8 to 10 weeks. And if you can do this, we can get you back on your feet and we can give you your life back pain-free. And that's a pretty big statement, but it's 98% successful, which is a pretty great number, right? 412-906-9600. I look forward to printing out those testimonials and reading them to you because they're very dear. As people are like, you gave me my joy back. I mean, how do you say thanks for that? Thanks. Right? I don't know. But 412-906-9600, PittsburghDiscInstitute.com. Did you use your sniper today?
I did not.
I did.
You use it every
Yes. That first floor powder room takes a beating. Needs a little TLC every day. What living with men is like. Oh, who are we kidding? Women are disgusting too. So.
Yes, they are.
Hey,
They could use some sniper too.
I was merely talking about like hair.
Yeah,
I think hair is disgusting.
That's the case.
Hair is gross.
Hair. Women's hair is everywhere.
It is everywhere. Mine is everywhere. It's terrible. I agree.
And men miss the
toilet. And I try to be very I'm cognizant of that because I just think it's terrible. Hair. Even if it's yours, you're like, ugh, like that turkey sandwich when he was like, and I was like,
I didn't bring it up.
And I threw mine away. He's like, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm so revolted by that. I couldn't possibly eat this. And he kept eating it. He's like, I know you. You're clean. And I'm like, ew.
It's like the 3-second rule.
No, Bobby did that. He dropped
but you know why Bobby doesn't have to worry? Because there's sniper on that floor.
No.
Disinfectwithsniper.com.
He dropped an ice cube on the floor today and he threw it back into the ice cube tray. I'm like, who does that? That's because he had
disinfect with sniper.
No.
Yeah.
No, it's because he's lazy.
It is. It was clean.
Mm-hmm. Disinfectwithsniper.com. Welcome back to the Wendy Bell radio program. So yesterday, I think it was official, yesterday or the day before, the official defunding of PBS and NPR. Couldn't happen in a nicer time, right? Get the squeeze on with the Washington Post firing a bunch of people. Well, I want to use PBS as a source here to see how Fulton County is asking the court now to return those 2020 election documents that were taken by the FBI under court order. Why ever would that be? Well, let's read this left-wing rag. Official that we're paying for. Sucks. Officials in Georgia's Fulton County said Wednesday they have asked a federal court to order the FBI to return ballots and other documents from the 2020 election that it seized last week, right? That, escalating a voting battle as President Donald Trump says he wants to take over elections from Democratic-run areas with the November midterms on the horizon. That is a very misleading, purposefully untrue statement. It's not that President Trump wants to take over the elections. President Trump wants to make sure the elections in highly suspicious and Democratic strongholds are monitored more vigorously, shall we say. There's a difference. See, what they did in 2020 to the Republican poll watchers is what they're alleging Donald Trump wants to do at this midterm. That's not what we want to do. We don't want to Bigfoot people out of the way. We don't want to hiss at them and bully them and push them out of the way. That is what happened to GOP poll watchers in 2020. Factually, fact check me. You'll find out I don't lie. Isn't it curious that PBS is now saying this is what Donald Trump wants to do? It's not even close. The FBI has searched a warehouse near Atlanta where the records were stored, a move taken after Trump's persistent demands for retribution over claims without evidence that fraud cost him victory in Georgia. You know, I always found it odd when everybody was parroting the same things. Remember that COVID ad of all the TV people? And they're like, we are here to tell you that sometimes you get bad information. And they all were saying the same thing, and somebody spliced it into this beautiful, monstrosity of parroting. How is everybody getting the exact same script? Well, it's because there's not a dang thing left, you guys, for the Democrats to cling to. Act Blue is closed up, right? There's no more money being siphoned through those Smurfs. You've got USAID. That's kind of been buttoned up. You can't get any more money out of that. You've got the fraud, the billions and billions in California hospice stuff, right? You've got the stuff unraveling in Minnesota. What are they going to do? Well, let's hear what Democrats are doing. Yesterday, Mazie Hirono on the same Minnesota fraud hearing that David Hoke testified at, she's not interested in the fraud. She's not interested in the fraud being stopped. She's interested in throwing whatever mud or poo she can at the GOP, namely Trump. Listen.
Accepted a $400 million jet from Qatar that he plans to keep. He plans to keep after his time in office. What is that? Overt. Members of Trump's team, including Kash Patel and Kristi Noem, use taxpayer-funded private jets for personal travel, to visit with girlfriends, to go to golf courses. Overt. Tech billionaires have received special access to the White House in exchange for paying for the president's new ballroom in the East Wing. And as noted, a lot of these tech billionaires want something from the White House. That's why they're doing this. I'd say, it's practically extortion, if not extortion, for this kind of overt kind of corruption to be happening.
We're talking about the Trump administration's overt corruption, that he's getting a new plane, the new Air Force One, and it's going to be the Air Force One for other presidents. It's not his. He's not taking it. And he's talking about Kash Patel and Kristi Noem. They're flying private jets. Well, they have to. It's part of the deal. They don't fly commercially. They get where they're going, and it happens fast. Shut up. And then finally, then the ballroom is funded completely by independent people. And if they get a deal, I don't care, whatever. Build the damn thing. Shut up. Oh, Dick. Durbin. Blumenthal. They kind of blend together, all the dicks, right? Well, here's Dick Blumenthal. What's he talking about? He's talking about the SAVE Act. Oh, no. You guys know what that means. They're going to try to steal democracy. This is a threat to democracy. Oh, my God. Oh, boy.
It's simply a step toward totalitarian and authoritarian effort to suppress the vote. And it goes along with his seizing election machines and voting rolls, imposing citizenship tests, a series of actions that are designed to suppress and maybe stop the vote.
Everybody can get an ID, Dick, right? Everybody can. Everybody's able. It's not suppressing anything. And you're a really bad spokesperson, so... When we go back on the Wendy Bell radio program, hour number 2, Gavin Newsom super duperly does not want Dr. Oz sniffing around Southern California's monster hospice fraud network. He's filed a lawsuit to stop it. Can't make it up. Next. Sort of what Fulton County is doing. You're going to file a lawsuit to stop us. Got it. Texas Bullion Exchange. So there's so many different things that you can get when you go to wendylovesgold.com. I love that there was a comment that Brock read the other day from one of you guys saying that your son had just recently gotten $10,000 worth of medals from Texas Bullion Exchange. wendylovesgold.com is the easiest way to find them, though. I mean, I like when I don't know an awful lot about something, but I do have money on the line that I'm interested in possibly using as an investment. Teach me. And I can't get that from a website. I want to hear your voice. And that is why they give you a number right there. 855-927-5557. That's our number to them. When you call, they're super pumped and they're excited because you guys tend to buy. If you're calling, most of you go all the way and want to experience this. I think you're going to be very pleased about what you learn about gold and silver, how you can get it into your future plans, your savings. They make it very easy. wendylovesgold.com. The website's super easy as well. 855-927-5557. They're our number one sponsor, so I'm deeply grateful to them for what they do so that we can do what we do, period.
Oh, Dick.
Oh, there's so many dicks. Right? So, how are you guys? Let's see what you're talking about. While I have you, another thing I could have taken, and I didn't even think about it because I have them at home, is CB Distillery has gummies, and they're just like this. They have formulations, CBD gummies, that are great for stress and anxiety. And I love having a tool at my fingertips that's something natural that isn't infused with a bunch of chemicals or a bunch of jazz I don't know about, or that comes from the pharmaceutical industry, which I most certainly don't trust. But I've talked to the gentleman who owns CB Distillery, and he's very serious about their third-party review of their quality measures. And they're just a great company. So having something like their, relief and relax formulations for stress, huge. Also help with pain after exercise, muscle, joint aches and pains after exercise. Also, and Brock will come back in and we'll put up that QR code so you can hover over it if you'd like to learn more about CB Distillery. Also the formulation for, for sleep. For calming down and to being able to calm down and fall asleep. cbdistillery.com. And I think right now it's 25% off through tomorrow. I don't know. Maybe they'll come back next week. We'll see what happens. But we love CB Distillery. I use their products and I can tell you that they work. They just do. There you go. Scan me, 25% off. Easy stuff. And this is not an expensive realm to go for natural pain relief and help with sleep. It's not a big lift. They're good people, all pure ingredients in their CBD products. So cbdistillery.com. And I think you just put my name in as a promo code and it comes up. There you go. So how are you all? It has been very interesting to watch the difference in, so we're almost 1.5 months into, or 5 weeks into this new schedule. Maybe it's just a month. Anyway, and it's interesting to see who is watching live and who's not, and then what happens after the show is off the air. You guys have been tremendous. And yesterday, I can't even imagine. How many orders did we get? Do you know, Brock? 50, 100, 75, something like that? That's crazy.
We sold over 120 mugs yesterday. And some Second Amendment commemorative gifts.
Remember, the clock is ticking on these, the Second Amendment commemorative gifts.
Yeah, I know we're under 50.
So that's what sticks out. And then it's Clarence Thomas's North is Still North. Isn't that beautiful? So the first one is all sold out. That's gone. The third one I don't know. We'll maybe get to when we have like 20, 25 of these left. Maybe something like that. Because I know a lot of you were collecting kind of like it's a set, and I love that. I love that.
And
So that's a 30 round, is that right?
Yeah. And I talked to Jolene. Thank you for the people who still bought Wendy's mug. There were a lot of you.
Who wanted both and knew that we were sold out. So we'll give a wink when it comes back.
She said she has to order more mugs and then make them. So we're hoping maybe in a week.
Yeah.
See how many.
What do you say, Jolene?
I think she's working today.
Amanda's sitting in her car being a loser listening to the show.
Being a loser.
And I know she just laughed out loud. I hope you weren't drinking anything, baby. She's literally in my phone as Demanda.
Mine too.
And I have to make myself aware when I see her. I'm like, that's not your name. Oh, that's funny. Hey, Wendy and Brock, says Black Lab Mama. Hi, Black Lab. What's up, JL Hamilton? I am Sam. Hi, baby. Hi, Darius.
So if you see Jolene in the chat,
put some squeeze on her.
Yeah. And someone asked what kind of sweatshirt this was. It's FootJoy. It's like one of those spring where it's not heavy, but it's still.
You look good in blue. It's your eyes.
I know.
Definitely a good color on you. Maisie Hirono, sitting there like a complete clodhopper, sharing all of that garbage. Like, shouldn't we expect more out of our government?
Who do you think she's sponsored by?
She knows damn well that what she said to you right there was all bullcrap.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that just so disappointing? I expect better. I don't expect you to lie to my face. I don't like that. That makes you a scumbag, Maisie.
Well.
Get back on a plane, sweetness.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Welcome to your daily dose of facts to fight off the liberal gaslighting.
We have put together, I think, the most extensive and inclusive voter fraud organization in the history of American politics. Folks, we got a lot of work to do. I don't only need you to get me elected, I need you once I'm elected. No longer just who gets to vote or making it easy for eligible people to vote. It's about who gets to count the vote and whether your vote counts at all. It's about who gets to count the votes, whether they should count at all. Who gets to count the vote? Count the vote. Count the vote. It's about election subversion, not just whether or not people get to vote. Who counts the vote?
You just got to try harder not to suck. Live across the fruited plain and from sea to shining sea, we're converting the Marxist left 1 hour at a time on the Wendy Bell radio program.
Welcome back. Hour number 2 of the Wendy Bell radio program is live, and I always remind you, you are invited to join along the live video stream. It's kind of fun when you listen to the radio to get a vision on what somebody looks like or what happens behind the scenes. And so that's what we do all 3 hours, wendybellradio.com. Join in the chat. Be a part of our family. Just keep coming back. I'm glad you're here. Well, Gavin Newsom really does not want Dr. Oz sniffing around all the hospice fraud in California, right? Well, that's okay, Gavin, because we don't really care about you and what you think. Okay? He's filed a lawsuit, a civil rights complaint, I should say, against Dr. Oz over allegations of hospice fraud. I'm reading this from a report called the JR Report. Word and Brown. I have no idea what that is. Anyway, this is what it says. California Governor Gavin Newsom's office is demanding a civil rights investigation. I mean, you're going to be dumber. I'm sorry, but it happens. civil rights investigation of Dr. Mehmet Oz, saying that he discriminated against Armenians in a video claiming hospice fraud in Los Angeles. The latest front in the state's ongoing battle with the Trump administration. So we're not going to be upset about the fraud, which is mind-bending in its scale and scope and severity, right? We're not going to worry about that. You were mean to Armenians. Dr. Oz stood outside some building, probably on Ventura Boulevard in Van Nuys, and he showed you up there. You see that up there? There are 15 hospice organizations running some network out of that ramshackle whatever. And then he's like, you see that? You see that sign that isn't in English because it's not? Well, we have an Armenian problem with hospice fraud, the Russian mafia as well. You're not allowed to say that. This is Gavin Newsom. The Democratic governor's complaint, filed Thursday, came after Oz posted a video on social media in front of an Armenian bakery in Los Angeles, alleging that roughly, $3.5 billion in hospice and home care fraud has taken place in the city. He's like, look, I drove around 4 blocks. I found 83 businesses, and it's all about hospice, hospice, hospice. How is it that Florida has more aged people than California, and California has more hospice providers and expenses and reimbursements by like 130%, or like it's even bigger than that. It's like thousands of percent more than Florida. I don't know. I'm not an investigator, but it's sort of like when you don't see footprints in the snow outside of a daycare facility. You're like, where are the kids? So he's all pissed. Well, Gavin, we don't care about your lawsuit. We care about stopping the fraud. Newsom's office argued in the complaint that Oz spewed baseless and racially charged allegations. Baseless. That's a very big dog whistle to me, right? That baseless allegations. Well, what if we have a base, in fact, of the allegations? And they're pretty solid because I'm feeling like they are. Here's Dr. Oz. I mean, again, not on my bingo card, that Mehmet Oz from the Dr. Oz show, who by himself as a physician is outrageously talented, right? Outrageously qualified. He's now sniffing around this fraud. He's on the podcast with Jillian Michaels, right? Jillian Michaels. And he's like, look, Minnesota's autism care exploding because it was allowed to. He's like, look, real people, real kids who really could have benefited from some care because they are on the spectrum, lost out because it was all abused in Minneapolis. We're seeing that in California. Listen.
In Minnesota, they thought they would be spending $3 million on children with autism.
Yes.
And they were going to invest this $3 million to give the kids who are there, and not every child has autism, but, what enough do, that there was going to be a need to pay families to help these kids get through their days and manage their issues. Fine. The budget now is $400 million. So forget about the fact that it's more than 130 times more money. Who's going to take care of the kids if all the kids are diagnosed with autism? Yeah. Why does every child have autism? Because they started paying moms to lie that their children had autism because they could get paid money. And the kids who don't need services now are forced to take care of services because we're paying the service providers to take care of kids who don't have a problem. So you understand that it's a perverse process where if you don't do it, they think you're dumb. I'm paying the moms, I'm paying the providers, the kids, God bless them, have no idea this is happening. And you're just ripping money out of the system, but also diluting care for the kids who need it. This is what political patronage and dishonesty in these precious programs does. And again, the money is not the primary problem. It's hurting the people who are most vulnerable.
And there's always a victim, whether it's Black people or poor people or autistic people, or it's people who are homeless, or it's whatever. There's always a target that requires attention for the left. And you got to give money to it, give money to it, give money to it. And of course, the money is then stolen, is siphoned off and taken to other places. And then who never, ever gets anything? It's the original victim. It's the most insidious cycle. I'm personally tired of it. So this is what it says behind Dr. Oz, and this is what I was trying to illustrate to you, but I poorly did. It says California hospice fraud may eclipse all Somali fraud. LA County has more than 30 times the taxpayer-funded hospice providers of Florida, despite having about 300,000 fewer seniors. Right? So California, California, 300,000 fewer seniors, but the hospice care is 30 times higher than Florida. It makes no sense. During the Biden administration, Democrat-run counties saw hospice providers double with no increase in patient use. Like, what could possibly be going wrong? And don't tell me that people didn't notice this and didn't know what was going on. Dr. Oz continues. He says, look, our social services are here to help Americans who need it most. Nobody wants to go after the Russian or Armenian mob in California, but it's got to be done. Enough with the theft.
Hubert Humphrey, whose name is on this building that I'm in right now in Washington, he said something beautiful. And he's a Democrat, by the way. He said, it is the moral obligation of government to take care of those at the dawn of their life, which are our children. We cover 53% of kids in America. Most children are covered by Medicaid, by our insurance or CHIP. We have to take care of those at the twilight of life. Those are our seniors. Every great society takes care of its seniors. We're great people. We're going to do that. You've worked your whole life. You've contributed. We respect you for that. We would help you. So those are the dawn of life. Those are the twilight of life. And those living in the shadows, the kids and the adults, and also people in the shadows. We've got to take care of these people. Our fellow man needs our help. Cowardly acts, running from the challenges of dealing with corruption, of powerful forces who can influence what's going on in your life, who are uncomfortable to fight against. Nobody wants to fight the Russian mob in LA, but someone's got to do it. I mean, my goodness, they elected you. Go do your job.
Do your job. Instead, Gavin Newsom is filing some lawsuit saying that Dr. Oz, because he said the nationality of the people allegedly behind these grifts, that somehow he has violated somebody's civil rights and is somehow discriminatory. You know what, Gavin? Sit down. You know, Gavin, I was going to talk about Brandon Gill. I'm just going to say something to Gavin Newsom. You're an embarrassment. You're an embarrassment and a fraud. Everything about you, we are all aware of, is fake. From your bullcrap style of how you use your hands and you dance, and that evil little smile on your face as you lie right to the faces of people who need your help. You're never there when they need you. You've never done anything to care about the people of that state of California ever before yourself. We know you. We don't trust you. We don't want you. And there is no mechanism of cheating that will ever exist for you to become president of the United States. There is no way, there is no how that is going to happen. So why don't you save us all listening to your voice one more moment and stop it. Step aside, move along, and let Steve Hilton step in as the next governor of that state that you have dragged into the ground and then stepped on and twisted your foot over. California wants California back. And we have no intention, we the people, of allowing you to do what you did to California to America. So, suck it, Gavin Newsom. Any questions? When we come back on the Wendy Bell radio program, super interesting inside details about that discombobulating something or other that stunned everybody in Venezuela when they went in and captured Maduro and his wife. What was it? Next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network. What a jerk. Sit down. You hack, you and your sanctimonious woke Doomkoff wife who wants to stand out in the winery in the fields with the grapes with some whatever, wrap around her. We don't care about you either, sweetheart. So move along, go retire in your new $9 million house, wherever the hell that is. Buzz off. All right. Other than that, I'm doing just fine. Not a fan of most people right now. Ireland contracting, however, yes, I am. It's not complicated. I like good people who show up. They say they're going to do something. They do it well. They're like experts in their field, and they do it well. They do it on time. They do it cleanly, dependably, and they stand by the work they do, and they charge you a fair price. Okay. Every day of the week. Ireland Contracting. That's what they do. So one of the few benefits of being in the land before time, our section of it, 1-800-NEW-ROOF, IrelandContracting.com. All of a sudden, you'll hear Gary up on your roof, and you'll be like, say what? Guy is like a monkey. I'm just going to say, up, 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 up. Looks around, never slips, never falls, up, down, gone. Thanks, Gary. He cleaned my gutters more than once, and it's not his job. But he did. He's a great guy. You're going to love him. And he's like, I should probably say more like a cat than a monkey. Cat. Dr. Oz. Brandon Gill wants to ban Somalis from America for 25 years. I don't disagree. Beat it. I don't care if we're going to lump everybody into it. Oh, it's racist. I don't care. Fine.
You could plop that into the end. The Brandon Gill.
I could. Not a bad idea. I'll put it there as a placeholder because I don't have anything. Let's see. 115. David Hoke, though, my goodness. What a strong, All he did is he paid attention and he started doing some digging. No different than what we did during COVID. You guys remember that? Remember how pissed they came after us, knives out. Knives out. That's about when our Facebook page got hacked. All of them.
You know what? Including the people we worked with. Some of them were not happy.
That I was talking about it.
Yeah.
I don't care. They don't have to listen.
That's what I said.
At the radio station, you mean?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, good.
They'd say stuff to me.
Really? Like what?
It's dangerous what you guys are talking about. I was like, we're just talking about the data. The data is all. Read the data.
Was that the one punk with his stupid Jeep?
No.
No. That had to be a woman.
Yes.
News?
Yes.
Yeah. Good. And then she was very nice to me when I'd walk in. Hi. Behind the scenes. Whatever. I'm faster than she is. I can bob and weave.
And then made my schedule change.
Oh, yeah. That's right. You got punished.
Mm-hmm.
They made you stay an extra hour after work. D-bags. See, liberals are very curious.
Whatever. I play the game.
You bided your time.
Yes.
Welcome back to the Wendy Bell radio program. So I found this super interesting story. I think we all kind of heard some scut when they took down Maduro and captured him and his wife, and brought him back. There were some rumblings of a super stealthy secret weapon that was used. And the Gateway Pundit actually has a really interesting article on it. And I want to read you this. It says, must watch. President Trump discusses powerful sonic weapon used to take out Venezuelan soldiers during the Maduro capture. I don't really think what the president says. We're going to hear it, but it's not. I think the details embedded in this story are far more interesting. So let's get to it. President Trump's Oval Office interview with NBC nightly news anchor Tom Lamas aired on Wednesday night, and it covered various topics such as the ICE surge in Minneapolis, the crackdown on fraud, the economy 2028, and more. At one point during the 1-hour interview, Tom Lamas asked President Trump about the sonic weapon used to take out Venezuelan soldiers during the Maduro capture. Last month, the Army's Delta Force, then it goes through that. We all know that. No U.S. forces were killed. President Trump said a few U.S. service members were injured during the operation, but they are recovering. And according to an eyewitness, this is the part that I find interesting. According to an eyewitness account, the U.S. military used weaponry and technology unlike anything he had ever seen. This is a quote. On the day of the operation, we didn't hear anything coming. We were on guard, but suddenly all of our radar systems shut down without any explanation. The next thing we saw were drones, a lot of drones flying over our position. We didn't know how to react, the security guard recounted. After those drones appeared, some helicopters arrived, but there were very few. I think barely 8 helicopters, this guy says. From those helicopters, soldiers came down, but a very small number, maybe 20 men. But those men were technologically very advanced. They didn't look like anything we have fought against before. And then the battle began, the interviewer asked. Yes, but it was a massacre. We were hundreds, but we had no chance. They were shooting with such precision and speed. It seemed like each soldier was firing 300 rounds per minute. We couldn't do anything, this guard said. And your own weapons, didn't they help? The interviewer asked. No help at all, because it wasn't just the weapons. At one point, they launched something. I don't know how to describe it. It was like a very intense sound wave. Suddenly, I felt like my head was exploding from the inside. We all started bleeding from the nose. Some were vomiting blood. We fell to the ground, unable to move, he said. Those 20 men, without a single casualty, killed hundreds of us. We had no way to compete with their technology, with their weapons. I swear I've never seen anything like it. We couldn't even stand up after that sonic weapon or whatever it was, the eyewitness said. So Tom Lamas, this is the point where he comes in, then he asks President Trump, I think they're in the Oval at this point, and he asks him about this discombobulator used to take out the Venezuelan soldiers. Here it is.
You talked about the weapon, the discombobulator. What is that?
Discombobulator. Well, I'm not allowed to talk about it.
But what does it do?
Let me just tell you, you know what it does? None of their equipment works. That's what it does. Everything was...
How does it...
It was my name. I'm very proud of the name. Everything was discombobulated. It was, practically a shot wasn't... they were ready.
Right.
And when we came, they couldn't do anything.
You saw this on the video. You could tell.
Tom, it discombobulated everything.
Nothing worked, even including humans.
Well, let's put it this way.
Out.
We lost no equipment in a very strong, and they're good fighters, great fighters. In a very bad environment, it was a military base, the biggest in South America. Because the house was in a base in South, in a very, very tough environment, we lost no men and we lost no equipment.
The discombobulator just knocked everything.
Well, it did something.
It's got to suck to be a Democrat because he's not making mistakes. He's protecting life. So I want to read this to you again. This eyewitness, on the day of the operation, again, this is the Maduro capture. This guy is nearby. We didn't hear anything coming. We were on guard. This is at their military base. This is where Maduro was. They had to infiltrate the freaking military base to get the guy. We were on guard. Suddenly, all of our radar systems shut down without any explanation. Next thing we saw were drones, a lot of drones flying over our position. We didn't know how to react. After those drones, it was helicopters, not a lot, but some, maybe 8. And from those helicopters, soldiers came down. Very small number, maybe 20 men. But those men were technologically very advanced. They didn't look like anything we fought before. It was a massacre. We were hundreds. We have no chance. They were shooting with such precision and speed. It seemed like each soldier was firing 300 rounds per minute. Was it the drones? I don't know. We couldn't do anything, he said. And then that discombobulator. And then our weapons didn't work. They all just stopped. I don't know how to describe it. It was like a very intense sound wave. And suddenly I felt my head was exploding from the inside. These 20 men, without a single casualty, killed hundreds of us. We had no way to compete with their technology, with their weapons. I swear I've never seen anything like it. We could not even stand up after all of that. Who do you think's paying attention? You think China? China. Hey, Vlad, you paying attention too? Anybody out there who wants to muck with us? And we're going to build a golden dome, and you're not even going to come close. God, I hate this president. Right? I voted for that. just in case you guys needed to know. When we come back on the Wendy Bell radio program, all hail the enjoyable takedown of a dorky white guy preaching about racism. Next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network. I've got to go potty. I'll be right back.
You have to love Trump when he's like, the discombobulator. That's my name. I really like it. And who doesn't think that that was not a shot across the bow to everyone else who thought we can do whatever? To Vlad, to China. I mean, China was, their delegation was there when they did it. So it's just, you know what, sometimes you can show your cards. You don't have to show them all the cards. But you ever watch poker? I enjoy watching poker on TV. And the guy will turn over one card. Says, here's some of it, but the rest of my hand beat you too. So it just, I don't know. Giving them a little taste. If they're willing to tell you about it and show you, you have to think that they have something way better than that. And I don't know if I'm right about this, but like that they had, when they were selling cassettes, they had already had the CD technology. And when they had the CD technology, they already had the next technology. So it's, I don't know, what makes you think that that's the only thing they have? Like the discombobulator. You have to love that kind of stuff. I do. We got my girl coming up, Harriet. Love me some Harriet Hagman. Someone said Trump always shows his hand and nobody believes him. I don't disagree. I don't disagree. I don't think he's a man full of secrets. You know, he's going to give you just enough. He's going to give you just enough to know, to let you know he has what he needs. You don't need to know anymore. I have the discombobulator. You don't need to know what else I can use besides the discombobulator. You know I have the discombobulator.
It was unlike anything we've ever seen.
I made the analogy to you this morning that right now I think the Democrats, another poker analogy, are on tilt. They're making bad decisions. They're making...
What's the word you just said?
What's that?
Are on what?
Tilt.
Tilt.
It's when you lose a hand,
okay,
and then you start playing poorly to make up for said lost hand, and you start making bad decisions. It's Chuck Schumer on MSNBC or MSN Now, where they say 70%, 80% are against voter ID. It's Jim Crow. They're just making these arguments that even their base says, hey, we're for this too. So they're just making a lot of bad decisions. Picking the wrong hill.
Take Lean, you guys. Take lean.com, promo code Wendy. You're going to get, let's see what you get, 20% off?
Yep.
20% off. So everybody's talking about weight loss injections because the results are so dramatic. They work by lowering blood sugar and reducing appetite. That's how it goes. So what if you're looking to lose weight, but you're really not interested in painful weekly injections, or you're kind of worried about what the after effects are, especially when you hear about some of those, right? Well, this is why doctors created a weight loss supplement called Lean. And the results are quite remarkable. The studied ingredients in Lean have been shown to lower your blood sugar, burn fat by converting it into energy, and then curbing your appetite and cravings so you're not as hungry That's the secret sauce. It's the magic. So, but this is the interesting part. Lean is not for the casual dieter with only a few pounds to lose. The doctors at Brickhouse Nutrition created Lean for frustrated dieters with 10 or more pounds to lose. So let's get you started. 20% off, free rush shipping is a part of this. So you can add Lean to your healthy diet and exercise plan. Take lean.com, enter Wendy for the discount. Promo code Wendy one more time. Take lean.com. We're just barely hitting 2.5. But all of you who are going to be watching later, hopefully you'll be clicking that thumbs up button for us. What are you sending me? Yeah. Let's see. Yeah, that is interesting, isn't it? So Trump just put a Truth Social thing. It's so interesting how he's able to communicate directly to us and carve out the irrelevant media. And so what do they have to do? They can either report on what he's doing, and what he's doing is telling you what he's finding and where he wants you to go. California's lost money. And he details all of this stuff. Like Gavin Newsom, I think you should probably chill on the worrying about.
He's not even winning in the early polling against, what's her name?
Who
Harris.
Yeah. Welcome back to the Wendy Bell radio program. You know, I know Pam Bondi gets dragged a lot. I know a lot of people out there are frustrated with her frequency of appearances on Fox News, when what we really want is to see tangible results of investigations and prosecutions. And we're tired of bad people getting away with it. We're starving for that mugshot. And God bless Donald Trump for using his in such a way, right? I mean, that was such an iconic photo of him staring at the camera. They're so ridiculous. And yet we can't even get one even low-level scumbag to be arrested and handcuffed and carted off. Why? Like, what's the deal? And so I would say if we ever did get rid of Pam Bondi, I don't know, whatever. I'm not really in or out. I don't care. I would want Eric Schmidt. I would want a lawyer as tenacious as the former Attorney General of the state of Missouri, who is now a United States Senator. And he's great. And there's a series of audio sound bites here. So this is a very interesting conversation they're having. Literally, as the title today, we're reclaiming our time. That obnoxious Maxine Waters, claiming our time, reclaiming my time. We are reclaiming our country. We want it back from the woke. We want it back from the idiots who want to change history and change our language, right? I'm not going to call you cisgendered any more than, right? Shut up. You are who you are. You're a man. You are a woman. You're married. You're whatever you are. It doesn't matter. Stop trying to get everybody wrapped into knots, worried about, who am I going to offend? Which is executed by people like Gavin Newsom filing ridiculous lawsuits or complaints because they're worried that the grift is coming to a close. We're reclaiming our country, guys. And all of it has to be exposed. David Hoke, in front of that Senate panel, you guys have to do it now. I'm giving you all the breadcrumbs. I've laid them out for you. Can you just go and do? Eric Schmidt, I'm going to read you a little blurb about where he is and why. I'll set it up. Look, there is not a soundbite existing of this exchange between Senator Schmidt and this goofball head of an NGO. He's some pencil-necked dork who believes that anything that he doesn't believe in is racist. And he's funded by George Soros. So you are annoying to us. You get in the way of everything that we're doing. The only place I found any of this audio is on Senator Schmidt's own website, which is ridiculous. Senator Schmidt torches Soros-funded witness during Senate Judiciary hearing, highlights bill to denaturalize scammers. So that's what he wants to do. If you are a person who's come in from another country and you've become an American citizen and you screw over the American people and you try to steal from us, you lose your citizenship and you bounce. And you're not welcome anymore. I agree. Today, during a Senate Judiciary Subcommittee on Federal Courts and Oversight hearing, U.S. Senator Eric Schmitt highlighted his White House-endorsed Stop Citizenship Abuse and Misrepresentation Act, SCAM Act, to denaturalize individuals who commit fraud, other serious felonies, or join a terrorist organization after they swore their oath of citizenship. He also pressed a Soros-funded witness about the ways his organization weaponized claims of racism to intimidate and coerce behavior. So the guy in his hot seat is named Robert Weissman. He's the pencil neck, and he is the head of the Soros-funded non-government organization called Public Citizen, which is really running cover for the Somali fraudsters, basically saying any action against the Somalis is somehow racist. And so Schmitt basically calls him out. He's like, so what I'm seeing from you is you just use racism as some way to force people not to talk about the truth. Well, sadly, you've met your match. So here's Senator Schmitt telling Robert Weissman, the head of this Public Citizen, that everything isn't racist simply because you disagree with it.
Are deportations racist?
Are deportations racist? It depends. They can be racist,
okay.
For sure.
Is ICE racist?
I think the practices of ICE right now are abhorrent and should be abhorrent, exactly as you said, for American values. I think the practices of ICE right now are...
But ICE itself, the organization, is a racist.
The enforcing immigration and customs laws per se is not racist. What ICE actually is doing, I believe, can fairly be characterized as racist. Yes, sir.
All right. I asked this because we did a little bit of digging into Public Citizen and found two things. One is you're funded by George Soros, correct?
The Open Society Foundation is one of our funders, yes.
And you call just about everything you don't like racist.
That is not true. But
okay, well, I'm going to give you a few examples.
Sure.
Yeah, and he's like, you know what? I'm going to give you a few examples as one of his aides behind the senator puts up this giant, sign. And behind it, it says some of the examples of what this guy and his Public Citizen NGO, whatever it does, goes on the record and then says is racist, right? Here we go. He thinks that algorithms are racist, that anything but vigorous support for Ilhan Omar is racist, as is the border wall, being pro-life and capitalism, checking citizenship on the census. That's something you want to stay away from. That's racist, he says. Claiming China started COVID, racist. Donald Trump, of course. I mean, like king racist, right? But he's a king too. Oligarch, okay, shut up. Fiscal responsibility is racist, right? So showing your work in math. You don't want to do that. Stop it. Law enforcement is racist. Not defunding the police is racist. Not making DC a state. The American healthcare system and the banking sector, racist. Bureau of Land Management, totally. The DOJ, the Electoral College, the expulsion of 2 obstructionist Tennessee state representatives. That was an act of racism right there. It wasn't consequences for making bad decisions, because there are no consequences if you're a liberal in this country, right? Somebody made you do it, and they were probably racist, right? The filibuster, racist. Term law and order is racist. So literally there's Eric Schmitt, the senator from Missouri. He's like, all this stuff up here you have talked about. He's going to go through some examples, and it's fantastic. Here you go.
On December 11th, 2019, Public Citizen tweeted that the banking sector as a whole is racist. On August 17th, 2021, Public Citizen sent in a press release that algorithmic racism was a major problem and that we need to start creating anti-racist algorithms. On December 23rd, 2020, Public Citizen tweeted that our healthcare system is a racist abomination. On April 7th, 2023, Public Citizen tweeted that expelling 2 Tennessee state reps for violating the legislature's rule was racism. On April 15th, 2021, Public Citizen tweeted that law enforcement in this country has been overrun by racism. On June 25th, 2020, Public Citizen tweeted, racism is the reason DC is not a state. On January 15th, 2019, Public Citizen tweeted that asking about citizenship status on the census was racist. On August 24th, 2020, Public Citizen tweeted, defund our racist, hyper-militarized, murderous American police force. On July 10th, 2020, Public Citizen tweeted that law and order is a racist dog whistle. Do you stand by these statements?
Well, I appreciate the depths of which you've gone of research. In the context of all those statements, yes, sir.
So all of those things are racist.
All of those things are racist. Yes. Yes, they are. Right? Joe Biden won in 2020. Yes, he did. Mm-hmm. Okay. The senator continues, one final soundbite. He's like, look, brother, this is 2026. This is not COVID. People aren't browbeaten. We're not in the height of the culture, the cancel culture and the woke sanctimony, do-goodery of idiocy garbage for you idiots on the left. We're done. Your magic hate words don't work on us anymore.
So all of those things are racist.
If you want to go through them, we can talk.
So here's,
sure.
I'm really glad. Hold on.
Yeah.
I'm glad for this moment of clarity because a lot of witnesses would try to sidestep that.
That's correct.
But what you have shown in the questioning we've seen before, in just these examples, the public interest isn't your interest at all. It is not your interest at all. You use racism as an attempt to intimidate people to get your way. And it's not 2020 anymore. The American people are over it. So what you're going to find is we are going to prosecute, and it has nothing to do with race. We're going to prosecute because fraud was committed on a level that is so offensive to this country. Your words that don't mean anything aren't going to stop what's coming. And I want you to take that back to George Soros and all these ridiculous funders you have to try to muddle the issue because justice is coming. And by the way, if I have it my way, we will denaturalize all these fraudsters and send them home.
Boom. He's got my vote, right? Here's Congresswoman Harriet Hageman. She is a national treasure. I will say that. And here she is at a House Judiciary hearing yesterday. As Schmidt is over there in the Senate talking about racism, she's talking about cisgender, all these fake words made up to twist our world and to rewrite the dictionaries. And she's like, she's got somebody, I don't know who it is that she's talking to. It's totally irrelevant. She's like, I'm done with you idiots. And I love it.
The fact is that all you need to do to determine sex is a cheek swab. If you're an XX or an XY, you're either a boy or a girl. It's that simple. This isn't complicated. It's not like we haven't known what women and men were for not just a matter of years, but decades and centuries and thousands of years before that. The fact that we're having this conversation and this debate just absolutely epitomizes the left's ongoing effort to rewrite the English language in order to change the debate and destroy civil order.
To rewrite the English language. And she's like, you know what? I'm just going to tell you, I've had enough of your made-up fantasy crap. Knock it off.
Cisgender is a made-up word. Cisgender that means nothing. Do not call me cisgender. I am a woman. This gentleman sitting next to me, he is a man. That's who he is. That is what our title is. That is what we have been described throughout history. This bill does nothing to prohibit men from competing in men's sports. I will repeat, this bill does nothing to prohibit men from competing in men's sports. It does prohibit men from competing in women's sports. It is that simple. All we have to do is look at what happened during the Paris Olympics, where we watched a dude beat the hell out of a woman in a boxing match, and we have people on the other side of the aisle who actually believe that that is okay. That man is not a woman. He has been tested repeatedly. That is a man, and he will not be allowed to compete against women in the future because he is a man. We do not want men beating up women. We do not want men in women's soccer or volleyball or basketball or rugby or swimming or any other athletic competition. This isn't difficult.
Any questions? I love her. See, that's what we have. They've got, Dick Blumenthal. I don't know. Who do you want to go with? When we go back on the Wendy Bell radio program, Roger Goodell, he seems really upset there are not enough black coaches. There are no new black coaches in the league. Are there any anymore now that Mike Tomlin is gone? Well, you know what? He should probably stop worrying about that and pay a little bit more attention to how America is responding to Bad Bunny and the boycott of anybody who advertises at the Super Bowl. Oh boy, next.
I just sent you a text.
Is that the one, personal finances?
It fits the next segment.
Wow. To be perfectly honest with you, I don't go to the Super Bowl. If I'm paying for the Super Bowl, if I'm going to the Super Bowl, I'm not going for the halftime show. I don't care. I'm going to be up in the concourse drinking beer that's well overpriced and finding something that's going to give me diarrhea later, right?
Wow.
That's what I'm looking for. I'm not like, oh, who is it? I don't care. I don't know. I'm not really all that interested in these celebrities, et cetera, et cetera. Whatever. I don't know. Who can you throw in there real fast? Well, Roger Goodell did not respond. He did not react quickly enough to the outcry. And he's not paying attention. He's Democrats running government. You don't just have other team owners, other coaches, other players who are like, I'm not really interested in Bad Bunny. Why? I want to see the guy. Why can't we have country? That's so interesting too. Everybody wants the people that this particular source polled or talked to want country music. Why ever would you want country music? Oh, I don't know, because it's usually wholesome and pure.
Rumble will be broadcasting the
Yes, indeed. I want to tell you guys about the healthy fat. Again, I think this is a very interesting time to have significant weight to lose. Look, I'm going to say if you have, for my body size, if I had to lose 10 pounds, that would be significant weight to lose. If you have 20, 30, 40, but that's significant weight to lose. That's a lot. And if you do, and you're tired of the up and down yo-yo, add it on, take it off, add more on, take it off. It's not good for your body. It's not good for your organs. It's not good for you inside. It feels terrible to be on that yo-yo. Get off of it. Join us and drink the healthy fat. It literally is refreshing. It's a scoop in your water bottle. Scoop of powder. Well, what is it? Well, it's something created by a cardiothoracic pediatric heart transplant surgeon who's really smart, and he lost 70 pounds drinking it. And he's like, look, I'm just going to tell you. I lost 70 pounds 20 years ago. I've kept it off. I'm still drinking it. I have recommended it to and watched thousands, not hundreds, thousands of people have dramatic, significant weight loss adding this dietary supplement to their water. This is what it looks like. You get it by going to thehealthyfat.com. thehealthyfat.com/Wendy, or just thehealthyfat.com and then use Wendy 30. Let me see. Hold on. Sorry. The healthy. Okay. Let's see. I do a /Wendy and blah, blah, blah. And then he's got, I'm telling you, there are great, his videos are fantastic. He explains to you what's going on. So go make a cup of coffee. It's good for you. And you can sit down and watch Dr. Gundry, thehealthyfat.com/Wendy. That's the landing page. This is not expensive. It is delicious, and it absolutely crushes your cravings and your hunger. Thehealthyfat.com/Wendy. I love it. I was thinking I have not eaten as much carbohydrate, my chips that I love, because I drink it. I don't have that, I got to have something crunchy and salty. All right. Oh, Roger. I'm going to read that, Brock. That's a really good thing to add. Sunday. I'm not telling you anything you don't already know. And apparently people are super ticked over Roger Goodell selecting Bad Bunny. So it's an American citizen. This guy is he's a citizen. I think he's Puerto Rican. And he's covered with tats and whatever. I don't care. So there's a lot of people. But he says things that I don't appreciate about my president and about my country. And I think a lot of people are annoyed that this is the fellow that Roger Goodell believes should be brought in to be the halftime performer for one of the most anticipated or highly watched sporting events of the year. Why? Why does it have to be this cat? Well, right now, I'm looking at this. It says, crossing on Twitter right now. I don't know if this is true, so I'll preface it with that. It says, now Robert Kraft, owner of the Patriots, has officially petitioned the league. And Kraft says he's demanding the cancellation of the Bad Bunny halftime appearance. Kraft did not mince words. He said, is this football or a circus? Apparently, Bad Bunny's going to wear a dress. Well, I don't care. You do you. But I wouldn't be pleased if that was the show. I wouldn't want to go and watch that. I want you to hear this. Rock the Country podcast says, look, it's not just fans who are unhappy with the choice of the halftime act. It's way bigger than that. It's a great breakdown. Listen.
The panic inside the NFL just went from the boardroom to the locker room. Yesterday, we reported on the absolute chaos unfolding in the NFL front office as Kid Rock and Brantley Gilbert announced their rival All-American halftime show. We told you that owners were panicking, but today, the situation for Roger Goodell and the NFL just got significantly worse. A new anonymous report just leaked revealing that it isn't just the fans and some owners who are upset with the NFL's agenda. The players are now turning on the league too. According to a bombshell survey conducted by The Athletic, a massive 41% of NFL players openly admit they're not on board with the selection of Bad Bunny for the Super Bowl halftime show. Usually players toe the company line. They're trained to support the league no matter what. But this anonymous poll reveals a locker room mutiny. When asked directly if they liked the selection, nearly half the players in the league said no. And the reasons they gave are devastating for Roger Goodell. One player, identified as an offensive starter in the NFC, didn't hold back. He said, quote, I don't even know who Bad Bunny is. I always think it should be an American. I think we're trying too hard with this international stuff. Now, to be fair to Bad Bunny, he is an American citizen. Now, another player went even further, attacking the values of the selection. The AFC player said, quote, I think there are better examples of character and morality. Now, this is a damning statement coming from inside the league. When your own athletes are questioning the morality of the halftime performer, you have a major crisis on your hands.
And yet some anonymous email goes out and asks everybody in the league to respond. How do you feel about this? And half of them say we don't want it. Why didn't Roger Goodell ask the players? Like the disconnect there, it's literally your Democrat government. Well, we're going to do whatever we want. We're going to make bad decisions and we're going to shove it down your throat and you're going to like it. That's the way it goes. Duh. Next. Check, please. Right? So this continues, though. This Rock the Country podcast continues. So what kind of music and which kind of performer do players want to see? It's really about good old boy, down home, family values.
Now, the survey also asked players who they wanted to see. And this is where the disconnect becomes obvious. The players didn't ask for Latin trap music or political statements. They specifically named George Strait and Chris Stapleton. One player said, quote, I've got to get George Strait in there. Another referencing Chris Stapleton saying his national anthem was awesome, so let's give him halftime. Many players want country music. Many fans want country music. But Roger Goodell and NFL executives don't care about that, so they ignore them, instead chasing a global audience. But now they're facing a revolt from all sides. Now remember, this player mutiny is happening at the exact same time a number of owners are losing their minds. As we covered recently, prominent NFL owners have reportedly warned Goodell that he should have thought through this decision. They're terrified that Bad Bunny is going to use the stage to make a political statement about immigration or Donald Trump, which could blow up the NFL's pending business deals that involve the government and the Trump administration specifically. The owners are worried about the money. The players are worried about the culture. And the fans have already started walking away. But the good news is this. While the NFL players are wishing for a George Strait concert, you actually now have a real alternative to watch. Turning Point USA has officially launched the All-American Halftime Show, and it's delivering exactly what those unhappy NFL players asked for. While the NFL forces Bad Bunny on the audience, Kid Rock is hosting a massive viral event featuring Brantley Gilbert, Lee Brice, and Gabby Barrett. This is the faith, family, and freedom alternative that 41% of the NFL apparently wishes they were watching instead. And Kid Rock has made it clear that this show is a direct response to the rumors that Bad Bunny plans to diss America during the halftime show. Kid Rock stated plainly that while the NFL has a dance party, his team plans to play great songs for folks who love America.
Well, there you go. And you can watch the Turning Point USA alternative to the halftime show right here on Rumble, which is the platform broadcasting our show. Okay, so when we come back on the Wendy Bell radio program, hour number 3, you got to absolutely love Bill Gates. Man, he hopes that you stop worrying about his antibiotics. I hope he feels better. Next. Ew. So grody. Ew. So anyway, I can't find anything about Kraft saying that, but we'll see.
He's a Trump supporter, so it wouldn't surprise me.
Mm-hmm. Simkovich Concussion Institute, you guys. The Simkovich Concussion Institute, 412-366-3700. This is another place where you want to go and do some scrolling, because you hear me talk about various different kinds of people who got into different messes or problems and needed assistance and needed help with their brain. And you're sort of like, man, I don't know if they can really help me. And I want to fly in from out of state and book, a long-term hotel room for a week or what have you, if it's not going to. There's an easy way to figure out if what Dr. Simkovich does, and it's to call. It's to call and talk to one of the staff there, because they answer the phone and they know they've been there for 20 years. They've been working alongside Dr. Simkovich, helping people who've suffered traumatic brain injuries and concussions get their lives back, get their everything back. And some of it seems simple and some of it seems very complex, but there are a lot of moving parts in your mouth and in your soft palate, kind of all connected to that part of you called the sphenoid process. And Dr. Simkovich knows how to feel when things are off kilter, and he can move things more into place and adjust you so that the pain goes away, the focus comes back, the anxiety disappears, the shaking goes away, and headaches. If you're a chronic headache sufferer, I don't know why you wouldn't go to Dr. Simkovich stat. I would have been there yesterday. 412-366-3700. There's nothing worse than headaches. By golly. SimkovichConcussionInstitute.com. They are healers, absolute healers. They literally give you, in less than a week, they give you your life back. I love it. I feel like I've got something sticking out here. Oh, I do. Okay. Anywho. So, very interesting. There's a little bit of rabbit holing in this segment, because this Epstein stuff, it's been not good for the Democrats. Let's just say that. It's also sorted. Like, I'm not even, I wish I could say I was moderately interested in it. I just, you feel bad for the people who weren't involved in that way, but whose names now are dirtied by it. And it's interesting that all these people are throwing so much shade at this one dirtbag, when human trafficking and pedophilia and all of that is such a prevalent problem in our country. It wasn't just because of Jeffrey Epstein. It's so pervasive, and I don't understand it. I don't. I will be honest with you. I don't. Kelly Morgan says it's not too late. Look, you've got more than 3 months to get your body back, or to at least start chiseling away at finding it again before summertime. This is a great time to consider. You've got those doldrums, right? If you live in a place like Pennsylvania, the weather's going to be stinky for a couple more months. Why not spend a good chunk of it learning about your abs, finding your core strength, losing some weight, getting some muscles back, losing the fat, watching your belt buckle go down. That's what Kelly Morgan does, More Gains Fitness. And that's why you have people whose, 90-day before and after pictures are just kind of silly. I mean, look at her. So there she is before. Look at her after. This, I think, right? Look at how much more slender she is. 90 days. That's why she calls it the 90 Ignite program. She's going to ignite the fire in you. And it works. MoreGainsFitness.com. MoreGainsFitness.com. She's got a really tricked out video too, shows her working out. It's really classy. Like, she looks beautiful. And there's that weird line between muscles, like muscular women, like being feminine still and being manly. It's such a beautiful video of her working out. I was like captivated by it. I was like, bitch, I hate you. Huh?
Would you? No, I doubt you will, but you're full of, with the boys and everything. I only watch the Super Bowl because I go somewhere where we have a prime rib dinner.
I don't even know who's playing.
What's that?
I don't even know who's playing. Honest to God. And I'm not usually an apathetic sports fan. I don't care. I literally am so over it.
Honestly, is the Patriots and the, I don't know. Is it Patriots and Seahawks maybe? That's a good question. I don't know, but like I don't really go. Like the only fun thing is we gamble on things. What the next play will be, what the coin toss, which I've lost the last 3 years in a row.
Tom McDonald for halftime.
But see, that's
the other way though.
That's a political statement.
So you need to have, and that's why the country thing.
Why not a halftime show where they do God Bless America, where they do more patriotic songs? Or, I mean, you could do plenty of people. Carrie Underwood, Chris Stapleton.
New England versus Seattle. Thank you.
Who is it?
New England versus Seattle. Okay. You're right.
That was I don't even want to call that an educated guess. That was a.
I don't.
But
even
like, I mean,
pretend to
I
care.
would, if I was home, I might crack a beer and watch it because it's on. But
I probably won't watch it.
Like I said, I watch it because I go to a place where they feed me and we all smoke cigars and gamble.
Yeah. Yeah, there's stuff to do.
I go for the atmosphere. I don't go for the game.
I think I'm going because I'm going to make. Jack's like, what do you want to make? Like 100, 150 wings? And I was like,
oh, maybe I'll come to your place.
No, you've got stuff to do. You've got fun stuff to do.
Well, I mean, I wasn't invited, so I
haven't even started anything yet. How could you be invited for something that hasn't even
I made other
shape?
plans.
Oh, okay.
Because I wasn't invited.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Wendy Bell, America's anchor mom, fighting for America 1 hour at a time. Welcome to the family.
We're going to win so much. We're going to win at every level. We're going to win economically. We're going to win with the economy. We're going to win with military. We're going to win with healthcare and for our veterans. We're going to win with every single facet. We're going to win so much, you may even get tired of winning. And you'll say, please, please, it's too much winning. We can't take it anymore. Mr. President, it's too much. And I'll say, no, it isn't. We have to keep winning. We have to win more. We're going to win more.
3 hours of bold truth and excellence. You've just signed up for the WBR Army. Strap in. This is the Wendy Bell radio program.
Welcome back. Hour number 3 of the Wendy Bell radio program is live. Remember, we just hit that 7 million podcast download mark a couple weeks ago, and we're pushing ever harder to get to 8 million, right? So if you like listening to podcasts, I think you'll like this show. We break down all 3 hours into individual segments, so 3 segments, and we take out all the talk and all the commercials, and it's about 39 minutes. It's perfect, easy to find wherever you get your favorite podcasts. Wendy Bell Radio is what you search. Thank you for that. Okay, so what would be in this whole Jeffrey Epstein files, frenzy, et cetera, what would be a reasonable reaction to someone who has, I don't know, emails or what have you that are dumped in these millions and millions of pages of documents that the Department of Justice is releasing, right? So Democrats and Thomas Massie went to the mat for, we got to have it. We need to know everything. And Donald Trump was like, look, I just don't think you want to do that. And anybody with half of a brain knew that if they had even the remotest iota of something to connect Donald Trump to Jeffrey Epstein or anything sordid, they would have already played. They would have played it before, he had much time to get past the golden escalator ride down with Melania. They would have played it. They would have carved him out, right? Because he interrupted everything that they wanted to do. He interrupted, and then you interrupted because you went for it. You created it. You showed up, you voted for it, you got it, you relished it, you celebrated it, and then you watched it get beaten and harassed. And you watched this president take so many hits for having the audacity to disrupt the swamp. What did he say from day one? We got to drain it. We got to drain it. Friends, we got to drain it. So there are ugly allegations coming out, none of which is surprising because it has to do with Bill Gates and Prince Andrew. And, say what you will about these individuals. They made decisions, and now they will forever be stained. I always thought Bill Gates was a scumbag. I find it reprehensible that he would buy shares of Moderna during COVID and then sell the shares as it comes out that, oh, by the way, it doesn't seem like these shots are really stopping anybody from getting sick. Oh, really? Who knew? He made $245 million off of a global pandemic. That is a special kind of scumbag. So add on whatever he allegedly did where he had to get some kind of an antibiotic from Jeffrey Epstein because his wee-wee was falling off after he banged a Russian hooker. Okay, Crimea River, you're a dirtbag. But the global vaccine pusher hopes this is going to make you stop acting or asking, I should say, about whether the antibiotics worked. He's like, look, I should have known better. I shouldn't have. Those allegations are totally false. Here's Breitbart. Bill Gates breaks his silence. He really doesn't. He just lies. Right? He regrets every minute he ever spent with Jeffrey Epstein. Ever. I swear. Bill Gates says he regrets every minute he spent with disgraced financier and convicted sex predator Jeffrey Epstein. Quote, I was foolish to spend time with him, the billionaire said. Gates reiterated his unconvincing denials of what was seemingly a close friendship with the pervert. He knew a lot of very rich people, and he was saying he could get them to give money to global health, which is code for let's make a bunch of stuff that's bad for people, make them get it under the guise of helping them. When they all die or become sterile, well, too bad, I'll cash in and be rich. I love that. It's a great guy, right? My kind of guy. Gates said of Epstein during an interview with 9 News Australia, in retrospect, that was a dead end, and I was foolish to spend time with him, said this to 9 News Australia on Wednesday. It's ridiculous. I was one of many people who regret ever knowing him, Gates, who broke his silence for the first time since the release of more than 3 million pages of Epstein documents on Friday, added. After being asked point blank if the allegations made against him in the latest round of Epstein files are true, i.e. the hooker, the STD, the need to get some kind of an antibiotic and surreptitiously get it, dose Melinda, his wife at the time, so she didn't get the STD too, blah, 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 right? And Trump was like, you guys really don't want to go down that path. You really don't. He's right. After being asked point blank if the allegations were true, Microsoft co-founder played dumb, saying, well, apparently Jeffrey wrote an email to himself. That email was never sent. The email is false. So I don't know what his thinking was there. Gates continued. Just reminds me every minute I spent with him, I regret. And I apologize that I did that. If you didn't do anything wrong, if you weren't banging girls, underage girls who were being trafficked, you wouldn't apologize. You'd just be like, I don't really have anything to apologize for. I had no idea that this so-and-so I was communicating with was a mass murderer. No idea. I'm not guilty of anything. I didn't help him, right? I'm not in on this. That's how you would respond. I would imagine. Prince Andrew, he's just been excommunicated. When I worked in the restaurant industry, there was always that place. It was called Siberia. It was the place on the patio is furthest away. And when you got that zone, you knew you were in the blistering summer sun in Southern California. You're in Siberia. That's what they did to Prince Andrew yesterday. In the cover of darkness. He couldn't stand being embarrassed. So he left in the middle of the night. Disgraced former Prince Andrew finally evicted from Royal Lodge Mansion in the dead of the night amid more damaging revelations in the Epstein files, right? So I'm going to read you a paragraph and then I want to get to the little rabbit's hole. Andrew has left his Windsor mansion and gone into exile in the Sandringham farm. The 3 million new Epstein file documents released by the DOJ are revealing damaging information, yada, yada. One of the most featured names is former British Prince Andrew. From sexual indiscretions to sharing confidential documents and floating shady deals, every day is another hard blow to his destroyed reputation, so much now that the man, now known as Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, has brought forward his move out of the Royal Lodge mansion he has lived in for decades. Well, the Duke of York, former Duke of York, is relocated to Wood Farm, part of the King's Sandringham estate, while he waits for renovations for his new home, Marsh Farm, to be literally, they're putting him out in the pasture. They're like, go out there with the cows. You suck. We don't want to have anything to do with you. Okay. But then there's this. So kind of interesting. Also included in this most recent round of Epstein files include discussions, emails, and such between Jeffrey Epstein and others about Joe Biden being shot and killed in 2020. And that the person we saw as president was an actor or a bot or a drone. I mean, that is so, or a clone, I should say. That's so ridiculous, right? Is it? Because President Trump made mention of that 8 months ago. 8 months ago. And I know it was 8 months ago because this NBC News clip featuring Brock's favorite girl, Yamiche Alcindor, boy, is she a piece of turd, right? They talk about the president saying that Trump said, this is not the real Joe Biden. Joe Biden was killed in 2020. I don't know if it's true or not, but Trump said it. When does he lie to you? And then when NBC comes out and brings out this troglodyte and they try to run interference, baseless claims, you would just be like, that's the dumbest thing I ever saw. And you'd move on. That's not what they did. So this is 8 months ago. This is NBC.
Yamiche, one more thing to talk about. Over the weekend, we saw the president repost another baseless conspiracy theory on Truth Social. This time, it was about former President Biden. Now, normally, we may not want to share such outlandish misinformation with our viewers, but the president does have nearly 10 million followers on social media, so it's on Truth Social, so it's important to set the record straight. Tell us, what did he say this time, and what kind of pushback are we seeing?
And I'll echo your caution here because we don't usually repeat something that is so outlandish and baseless. But the president reposted an online post without context, by the way. He didn't add any commentary to it. But the person that he reposted said that former President Biden had been executed and that he was actually replaced with clones and robots that were doing the job for him. Again, this is, of course, completely unfounded. President Biden has also been clear. Not only is he dealing with sort of the challenges of being out of office, but there's also this idea that the president is also dealing with prostate cancer right now and going through treatment for that. So it's really not only a baseless claim, but also a claim that is attacking someone who is going through a real health crisis.
Well, we need a victim. This is why when they came out with this prostate cancer diagnosis of his, we were like, what you talking about, Willis? Because I'm not falling for that. That's a perfect reason for him to slither out into the darkness. Donald Trump said he was executed in 2020. She said, and he said, baseless claims 4 times, but it gets even worse. This is when the low IQ, low talent individuals try to block and tackle for the deep state. I want you to hear her clear disdain, this reporter, for President Trump. Like football fans don't like Bad Bunny. America doesn't like a biased news delivery. Yamiche, listen.
We don't know why President Trump reposted this. The White House is declining to comment, but this is not, of course, the first time that he's reposted baseless claims, and I'm sure it will not be the last. But President Trump has not been shy about spreading conspiracy theories. In some ways, it largely, in some ways, at least partly, if not largely, got him elected because a lot of his supporters do believe in the things that he says, whether they're baseless or true. So just another, I think, a chapter of President Trump saying something that just is not true, unfortunately.
All right, Yamiche,
Joe.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Oh, thank you so much. Appreciate that. That was a lot of bloviating, running interference, using old lines, baseless claims, conspiracy theories. It's probably why I got elected. I mean, it's just crazy. It kind of makes you think, doesn't it? I think a lot of us believe that to be true, what the president said, right? I mean, anybody who looked at Joe Biden from 10 years ago and that Joe Biden, you're like, what? Anyway, I'm a conspiracy theorist. When we come back on the Wendy Bell, feels so right. When we come back on the Wendy Bell radio program, they are absolutely deranged. The FBI arrests a lunatic leftist who literally stalked and doxed a federal agent and then went after his child. Next. Right? I don't know. Does anybody feel like that's really beyond the realm of possibility? I don't. I want to quickly get this in before Brock says anything because I know what he wants to talk about and I want to hear it. GLP Gold. GLP Gold. So this is something from the makers of Juvenon Blood Flow 7. And you get to it by going to bloodflow7.com/Wendy. Same landing page, okay? 30% off. Wendy 30 is your code on things that are Juvenon. 30, Wendy 30, okay? Cravings aren't a willpower problem. They're often a hormone signaling problem. Something going on inside of you. One hormone called GLP-1 plays a major role in telling your brain that you're full and helping control your appetite. When that signal is not working well, cravings stay loud and eating more than you planned feels almost automatic. You've probably heard about GLP-1 because of prescription weight loss drugs. Those force that signal to tell you, you're done. You don't want to eat anymore. And so you don't. It just absolutely crushes your appetite. But there's also interest in supporting your body's natural GLP-1 response without injections or extreme measures. That is where GLP-1 Gold comes in. This is something from bloodflow7.com/Wendy. It's a supplement designed to support natural GLP-1 pathways using researched plant extracts to basically tied to your appetite regulation, metabolic signaling, and blood sugar balance. So they use plants to get your body to produce more of the GLP-1, which tells you you're full. So interesting. So what people don't really notice, or what people usually notice, isn't magic weight loss. It's just feeling fuller sooner, fewer cravings, and less food kind of noise throughout the day. That's the secret sauce. But plants, natural ingredients to trigger this response, maybe a little bit faster in you. Right? That's it. Bloodflow7.com/Wendy. GLP-1 Wendy 30 is the promo code. 30% off. Right?
Okay, so complete tinfoil.
Yes,
like,
of course.
You
This
know,
is
I
what we do.
can't say that I know. People speculate that there are multiple Trumps, that the real Trump is in the Cheyenne Mountains being protected.
In the Cheyenne, Wyoming?
Like apparently there's some military thing out in the Cheyenne Mountains. That, anyways, you've heard the same thing about Hillary, and that's what Gitmo was open for. And there's a lot of people they have seen their own demise. So, like, these are the things that and the movie that we all think we're in, that you have to, that the bad people have been taken, but that's why it's so obvious how ridiculous some of this stuff is. And everyone needs to be shown how ridiculous all of this is. So, I mean, I've heard that about Joe Biden too. But I've heard it about a bunch of people. I have friends that like to talk about that kind of stuff. And that there's a lot of things behind the scenes that, that person's been gone. I'm like, really? They're like, you're watching a movie.
See, I'm always curious about the source of that data.
Oh, so am I.
Right? These people come out and they're like,
This is
Q
for this
said
story.
blah, blah, blah. Don't you like how we go down some rabbit holes? You guys would love our weekend show on Sundays. Every now and again we do it. That's what's great to be a part of our team here and follow the program, wendybellradio.com. You know, they're absolutely deranged. And I wonder if I wonder what these people are being paid, or if there really is that trigger in some of these people on the left who think it makes perfect sense to go and to stalk another human being because you disagree with the job that they were hired to do. That there's that weird disconnect between reality and insanity, and they do insane things. So I want to read this to you. This is from the publication redstate.com. FBI arrests man who doxed federal agent and threatened his child using government files were stolen in Minneapolis. That's just, it's like wishing Caroline Levitt, when she delivers the baby she's presently pregnant with, it's like wishing her a terrible delivery or some kind of cataclysmic problem. It's like, what's wrong with you? Why would you go after somebody? Why would you want to, why is that the flavor that you can't satisfy? It's pathological. In this episode of The Worse It Gets, The Worse It Gets, as if things couldn't be worse in the anti-ICE haven of Minneapolis, a man has been arrested by the FBI for doxing and threatening a federal agent and his child. This is after information was stolen from several government vehicles during an anti-ICE protest in the out-of-control city. So this is according to a Fox News alert. Folks at home will remember these images of protesters breaking into several FBI vehicles several weeks ago in Minneapolis. We do. After agents who were trying to investigate the shooting of an illegal immigrant were forced to evacuate the area for their own safety. Inside their cars, protesters found documents that they posted online, including rosters with FBI employees' phone numbers, email addresses, home addresses, and driver's licenses. According to court records, within a day, 10 to 15 FBI officers and employees started getting threatening phone calls, emails, text messages, and even suspicious drive-bys at their home addresses. Isn't that gross? This is how you spend your time. Bullying and intimidating men and women who were hired to do a job that we freaking voted for. I know where your mom lives, bro, and your dad, and your kids, buddy. Get home safe and fast, said one text. We'll see how tough you are when I firebomb your address. And then drops their physical address, Cincinnati, Ohio, 45242. Can you imagine? Can you imagine? You've been deployed because you work for ICE, and the federal government has asked you to go to Minneapolis, and you go, and they break into a car, and they get your address, and they start hassling your wife and family in Ohio while you're in Minneapolis. But it didn't stop there. They also tracked down one FBI special agent's child on Facebook, and they sent him this message. How does it feel to be the child of your dad's info linked online? I find it incredibly embarrassing that he's FBI, but so much is available about him and his family. Like this is a child trying to intimidate. I don't know why a child would have Facebook, but okay. Federal investigators traced several threatening messages to a man named Jose Ramirez, who lives outside Chicago. According to the criminal complaint, Ramirez has a criminal history, which includes domestic battery, burglary, and mob action. He's now charged with doxing and threatening an FBI agent. This type of sick behavior is beyond reprehensible, but you never, ever hear pushback from the left. The threatening communications have had significant impact on victim A's personal and professional life, the complaint stated, saying the agent is afraid for their family's safety and has had to take significant security precautions at work and at home. That's disgusting. According to the complaint, a search of law enforcement records showed Ramirez's phone was listed in a 2014 police report of a harassment complaint filed by a manager at a mall nearby. He apparently threatened to shoot another employee. This is a guy who clearly has issues, right? Who's glommed on to this movement to be angry, to be active, to be mobile, to be ready to go, to be a ne'er-do-well, to be an agitator, to destroy, to do whatever needs to be done so that you're not talking about fraud. Right? Isn't that what the whole point of all of this The show is. So you stop talking about what they've been doing with your money? We come back on the Wendy Bell radio program, my friends. Let's go there. Trump sit down with NBC should scare the liver out of the deep state. We've got some select sound bites that lets you know, man, our president, he knows everything. Next. Who have I not spoken about?
I think you talked about it.
I think I did. I think you guys have been very accommodating for me to get in on all of our sponsor reads here. So there's a new one coming, I hope. And this one's about mattresses.
I've heard good things. Kate told me good things about them because I had mentioned it to her.
Yeah. I've never heard of them before. And I'm not going to tell you who until we get our... Literally, they said, what do you want? And I'm like,
I know I should have put a request in.
I'm like, you've got $2,000 mattresses. What? They're like,
Which-
yeah, which one do you want? I'm like,
Which is not
a lot.
Which is not a lot.
I think the one I have right now is called a Kitsa, and I think it's $2,600, something like that. And I love it.
I have a sleep number,
Yeah, because you're rich.
which I bought 14 years ago. That was over 4,000. So
How did you justify that when you've always been on the dime?
well, it's lasted me 14 years.
No, I'm not saying that you didn't get your money's worth.
Because it said
I
it had a
just don't-
15-year warranty, and I'm like,
I don't envision you
it was tough.
14 years ago
It was tough.
before you made good money.
It was tough. But 15-year warranty or something like that. I'm like,
$4.25. That's as
I got
much
a raise?
as I'll do. That's as much as I'll do. Okay.
And by the way, can we set the record straight? I did not say anything about Jolene making the mugs and doing it quickly.
I did.
Wendy did.
Yeah.
So Darius, Fungu,
Wow.
starting some Shiite. I said nothing.
Purple, you know what?
Sits on a throne of lies.
The R cubed, yes. I have a purple mattress. One of ours is purple. Yeah, these are all the things that it's so interesting. Like you spend a third of your life allegedly in bed, but we would buy sight unseen, laid on, never mattresses that you open up the thing and it goes like foam. That's what they do. That's what the big thing is now. That's the way it's been for like 10 years. It's amazing.
Yeah, they have, like, that's what I said to you yesterday. This particular place had an adjustable, which is my next purchase, but next betting. And it was like $3,500 for everything. And I'm like, man, that's compared to what I paid, that wasn't bad. I mean, mine doesn't adjust or anything.
Well, I'm excited because I think Michael's bed upstairs. So Mike and Jack share a room, Bob and Chris share a room. Ryan's the only one who has when they're all there. But Michael's mattress is atrocious, and I was unaware of that. Jack was like, "It's terrible, Mom. It's the worst." And I'm like, "Oh." So we're gonna get rid of that, and we're gonna get this and see how it feels. Like, The
And
problem
then if
with
that's good, then we'll say, well, how are your adjustable beds? Yeah.
that's a big thing. That I guess
It helps you from snoring. You can sit up. You know, sometimes I want to watch a little TV, but I don't feel like I feel like being ready for bed. You know what I
slept
mean?
in Ryan's room the other night. Apparently, Joe's like, "Why did you?" It was like a Saturday into Sunday, and he's like, "Why did you sleep in Ryan's room?" And I was like, "You were snoring." And he's like, "No, I wasn't. You walked in there. You were in there before I came to bed." And I was like, "Really?" Vividly, I remember getting up and walking in there because he was snoring. And I'm like, or I just sleptwalked.
That's kind of scary.
That's creepy. Yes, that's what I'm saying. Right? What's going on? Is demand out of the car now? Is she at work? She gets
Does
to
she
see.
really work, though?
She gets to see the whole kit and caboodle. Hi, Mo Doodle.
All right, we need 160 rumbles.
Hi,
Let's
Bill
go.
Fred. What's going on, Max Tollenschatten? Hi, Rosebud. Chief Bob, what's going on, babe?
I don't snore that often. But
How would you
said,
know?
Because I used to before I lost all the weight. And then Kate says, you don't snore anymore. She's like, you sound like a freight train. So weight has.
How you
to do with-
doing?
Yeah. Well, don't wake me up and tell me. I'm apparently sleeping. Leave me alone.
You apparently got a good night's sleep because my text this morning at 5 a.m. woke your sorry butt up.
Yeah.
Went to bed at 9, 8 until 5.
No, 8:30 probably.
Oh, no. It wasn't 9 hours. It was only 8.5. Oh.
Yeah, my alarm didn't go off.
And you didn't wake up.
Well, I had an alarm set for 5 too. I set 2 alarms.
Nevertheless, you did
woke me
not
up
wake
at
up.
4:57.
You did not wake up. So,
Wow.
no, I'm glad. I'm glad that you're sleeping well. Do you take REM
Yeah.
every night?
Not every night. I don't feel like I need to anymore. Like I feel like I've caught up almost, you know.
Must be nice.
A lot of times. But whatever.
I don't know how
You
that
know
has
what?
anything to do with me, but I thought I'd throw that in there just to be a consider how many interviews the president gives while he's doing so many of the things that he does. I mean, if it's true that presidents and prominent people have stand-ins, right? Or clones, or I don't know, whatever it would be, people who just look like them, right? John Fetterman has quite a few of them. We've noticed that. That one guy looks nothing like him at all. And they're like, here's John Fetterman. And you're like, look, I'd rather not see him. If you have to put a fake, that's a really bad fake. He'd be a tough guy to fake, right? But you have to wonder, how does Donald Trump do it all? How is he able to give an hour in the Oval Office to Tom Lamas from NBC, and then be in the Oval Office before that with Gustavo Petro from Colombia as he's browbeating Putin and Zelensky to figure it out? Can we get the dying to stop? As he's also bringing down rents and inflation is cooling and all of his stuff is going. And wait a minute, Brock just sent me something. Let me see if I can read this to you before I get into this too fast. This is the one where, here we go. For the first time in 5 years, I'm sure this is going to be all over the internet. Oh, there's nothing on that post. That's interesting. For the first time, allegedly in 5 years, 62%, the majority of people say their personal finances are getting better. That's what it says. For the first time in 5 years, a majority of Americans say their personal finances are improving. This is just the beginning of the Trump economic boom. So somehow Trump manages to give an hour to this Tony Lamas guy, and he sits down in the Oval Office and he has a few audio sound bites that I think were noteworthy. This aired last night, and he's talking about what we all are talking about, and it's the fraud. It's not the cover-up of the fraud. It's not the mayhem and the protests and all of that nonsense. It's fraud. And he says, if we could just rein that in, if we could knock off the fraud, it would be nobody's problem to every year operate within a balanced budget, which never happens. Here he is.
Minnesota and these other states, We have massive investigations going into fraud.
Yeah.
Do you know if we captured 50% of the fraud of this country right now, we would have better than a balanced budget. And you got to mention that Minnesota, $19 billion in fraud that we know about.
That we know about. And what did he just say? 19, if you really want to be serious about it, is probably triple that. At a minimum, double. At least $40 billion. And that's nothing compared to what's been going on with the hospice and the Medicaid fraud in Southern California. If 18% of the entire country's healthcare costs are coming out of Los Angeles County, do you think there's a problem? Because I do. And Gavin Newsom's super upset. He doesn't want anybody to know about it. Certainly not Dr. Oz. Then President Trump continues on securing American elections. We've already heard Dick Blumenthal. Oh, Dick. Dick is going to try to tell you that, they want to do voter ID because they want to disenfranchise people. They want to make it harder for people to vote. It's an idiotic comment. Everybody knows better than that. And if you, by the way, are in a slimy area, like I am in Pittsburgh, Allegheny County, where it always goes like 98% blue, and you're like, come on, please. This is when the president's like, look, if it means we need to come in and we need to look at how they're running their elections and oversee because something's going on, we're going to do it. Listen.
You've recently suggested nationalizing elections. What do you mean by that?
And I didn't say national, I said there are some areas in our country that are extremely corrupt. They have very corrupt elections. Take a look at Detroit. Take a look at Philadelphia. Take a look at Atlanta. There are some areas that are unbelievably corrupt. I could give you plenty more, too. I say that we cannot have corrupt elections. If we have to, if they don't straighten it out. As an example, voter ID. Why don't the Democrats want voter ID? You know who does want voter ID? Democrat voters want it, but Democrat politicians don't. Why don't they want it? Because they want to cheat on elections. Can you imagine if I were a politician and they asked me, do you want voter identification? And I said, no, there's no way you could win that debate. But even the Democrats don't want voter ID. If they don't want voter ID, that means they want to cheat. We can't allow cheating in elections. Now, if we need to put in federal controls as opposed to state controls, remember this, they're really an agent. They're really accumulating the votes for who wins an election. If they can't do it honestly and it can't be done properly and timely, then something else has to happen.
Something else has to change. We will not accept this anymore. And then finally, he talks about why Tulsi Gabbard, right, Director of National Intelligence, is handling this investigation into 2020 election fraud, specifically zeroing in on Fulton County, Georgia. Look, if foreign countries fiddle with our elections, Tom, who looks like he's 22, that's Tulsi's job, and that's why she's doing it.
But let me ask you this. If China or any of these countries are involved in our elections, that would bring her into it. And everybody knows that Russia, they talked about Russia, it turned out to be a hoax. It was Hunter Biden. It wasn't Russia. Look, we have to have honest elections. There should be nothing wrong with the fact that they went in, got ballots from a while ago, and they're going to look at them. And now they're going to find out the true winner of that state.
We don't want that, so we're going to go to court, and we're going to sue you to get those ballots back. It's almost like you've got something to hide, and everybody sees it. Duh. Right? So I want to read you this from the Federalist. Apparently, well, I'm just going to read it. Tulsi Gabbard, the Director of National Intelligence, is under attack again. A so-called whistleblower filed a complaint against her alleging wrongdoing so sensitive that its details supposedly could not be disclosed. The complaint was reviewed and closed because it lacked credibility. That determination was made by Tamara Johnson, a career official who served as the acting inspector general of the intelligence community during the Biden administration. That should have been the end of the story. We've got some whispers. It's something about Tulsi. Ooh, it sounds deliciously salacious. Yeah, we don't have any corroborating evidence, so we're going to can that. Well, let's not let that emergency go to waste, shall we? Well, instead, the secrecy surrounding whatever that complaint was that wasn't fortified has been repackaged now as proof that something terrible must have occurred. The absence of evidence is now being marketed as evidence itself. This is how much the left will twist itself in knots to take down anybody who's sniffing around the swamp. Enter the Wall Street Journal, right? In a breathless piece published this week, the WSJ reported on the existence of this sensitive complaint while strongly implying that its classification alone suggests guilt. My goodness, that's serious. To heighten the drama, the article likens the episode to a John le Carre novel. At that point, the piece absolutely collapses into accidental self-parody. In le Carre's most famous and definitive work, and I'm not familiar with him, and I'm probably, if it's a man, I don't even know how to say his name, so sorry. In his most definitive work, Tinker, Tailor, Soldier, Spy, the entire plot revolves around a compromised source feeding supposedly ultra-sensitive intelligence into the system, sending British intelligence on a manhunt for a threat that doesn't exist. The secrecy is not proof of truth. It is the mechanism of the deception. The sensitive intelligence is the hoax. And so, yes, the comparison is apt, just not in the way that the Wall Street Journal intended. By invoking that the authors of the Wall Street Journal article inadvertently describe their own method with remarkable precision, invent or exaggerate something supposedly sensitive, elevate that classification itself into the story, and then let the audience infer guilt from the secrecy of it alone, right? This is not journalism. It's narrative laundering, where insinuation substitutes for evidence and secrecy substitutes for proof. The Wall Street Journal never establishes that Gabbard did anything wrong. It doesn't even claim to know what she supposedly did because there wasn't enough proof of what she reportedly did for it to be actionable, so it was dropped. The scoop is simply that a classified complaint exists. Worse still is the only fact that actually matters is quietly buried deep in the article. What do you always say, Brock? What do you have to do when you're reading an article?
Read at least to the third paragraph.
At least the complaint was closed because it was not credible. Judging by the outrage that the piece generated across left-wing media, most readers never reached that part. This is the drive-by news consumer. Read the headline. We're going to bury the most important part of it. Like that was what happened with this coffee study I started off the program with today, right? After years of us being told that regular caffeine coffee drinking is bad for you, it's bad for your heart, it's bad for this. There was a thing in this study that just came out, I think from Johns Hopkins. It said actually coffee is quite good for you. And quite a bit of it is good for you. In fact, 3 to 5 cups every morning. And morning is like a reason to do it. Morning time, 3 to 5 cups of coffee is good for you. And then down in the very bottom of the article, it says, also shows some really promising results with Alzheimer's. And you're like, wait a minute, didn't you bury the lead? Like, I want to know. I have Alzheimer's all over my family. In fact, I probably am already percolating with it. I want to know they buried it. So if you don't read past 3 paragraphs, you don't get anything. The Wall Street Journal, you know better. Yamiche Alcindor, NBC News, all of you, Jake Tapper, all of these idiots know better. They don't care. And that's why the whole field of journalism is dead. And that is why the citizen journalist, the David Hoke, who sees something and starts to do some digging and starts to pull that thread on that tapestry that looks so neat and beautiful hanging on the wall. And you're like, wait a minute, what's that? Is that something? Let me pull that. And all of a sudden, right? You don't have a government right now that cares, by and large. The system of Congress, and you don't have journalists who are willing to do that. And so we do. Indeed, we do. So when we come back on the Wendy Bell radio program, I want to tell you about Brandon Gill. I want to see what you guys think. Should the Somalians, should all moving from Somalia here, all immigration from Somalia be stopped for a period of time? And should all Somalian people here be bounced back to their homeland so we can heal from what they did to us in Minneapolis? Well, I'm gonna read you a bill. See what you think about that. Next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network.
Bad Joke Friday, good news. Tomorrow, get your jokes in, wbrbrock@gmail.com.
The screen grabs don't work either. You have to actually take the time to write it out so he can copy and paste it and not notice all of the typos. So that when I read them and I don't really realize that they're sexually explicit and inappropriate. It's so much fun. I love when that happens.
Yeah, well, don't send me those.
How about just read them?
I feel like I should be able to trust people's judgment.
Do you want me to do you want me to do it this time?
No.
No. Oh no, you don't. You don't want me to be in charge of it?
Well, I'll have to send them all to you.
Well, I have my own.
Also, there will be a pet show on Saturday.
All right. I am so excited. So I'm taking Murphy to Dr. Mike. Dr. Mike has never met Murph before, but I've been going back and forth. Murphy's got these like weird growths on his skin. They're almost like super hard pimples, but they're bigger than that. It's almost like the size of maybe my thumbnail. And there's big things there. And I'm like, I just kind of would like to. And I think he's got a bad tooth. So I'm like, when are you available? So I get to slap him. That would be like, it's going to be like a 3-hour extravaganza to get out to Dr. Mike. I cannot wait.
3 to get out there?
Not like the whole thing from getting me your home, getting Murphy, getting him there, getting him back. It's not close by to me, but it's so worth it. Dr. Mike is the best. He's like, we're going to do some x-rays. We'll do some blood tests. I'll take a look at his mouth. Blah, 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 blah. We'll get him the shots that he needs, yada, yada. And I'm like, okay, I love you. So I'm all about Dr. Mike. I have to see if I can use nighttime collagen peptides during the day.
Okay.
I was just thinking about that because I'm out. You put them in my MCT Wellness, my healthy fat every day, and I feel like I'm naked without it. It's a pivotal part of my nutrition. I don't know. Nighttime.
Someone asked about Sunday. She'll let you know tomorrow. I don't know. I get told.
That's not true.
I find out when they find out.
No, we talk about it. Like, I'm not going to do it if you're going to be traveling. If you're going to go see Jolene, and go to that bash.
No.
But if she could have gotten those mugs for you, I bet you would have driven your ass down there. I love that it's such a sensitive thing.
So this week and next weekend are the Great American Outdoor Show, I think it's called, in Harrisburg. So I may go out next weekend. I'll see if they'll do Saturday instead of Sunday.
See, you guys are all you're all caught up now. You all know what's happening.
Look into some ammunition and some fishing stuff.
How about the Wall Street Journal knowingly elevating an egregious and salacious lie?
Why do you sound surprised?
For which there was no credence, and they knew better. Why would you do that?
Why would you be surprised at this point? They all do it.
That's when my dad is like, hey, no, I like the Wall Street Journal. My father-in-law, I think, Dad, I know you do read the Wall Street Journal, don't you? I have a subscription, so I read it only when I have to, which is not commonly.
Let's go, Rumble.
Are we not at 3 yet?
291.
Oh my gosh, you guys, can we please have 90 more?
Oh, won't you take me home tonight?
Day. I'm not so sure that's a really positive thing for me to be mouthing along to the camera. Fat bottom girls, you make the rocking world go round. Like, why is that my song there? What does that mean, Brock?
That comes back from the wide seat discussion when your husband bought you a bathing suit that had wide seat on it.
He did. Oh my goodness. But remember, it wasn't that long after
Happy
that.
Valentine's Day. Here's your wide seat.
It wasn't that long after that he left the seat up in the middle of the night, and I legitimately fell into the toilet, okay, which is so disgusting. So anywho, I'm not so sure about the wide seat. I forgot about that. Okay, so I want to ask you guys, what do you think? Do you think it makes sense when you can, I mean, reasonably, we know that the Somalian population is not in Somalia. These are not highly educated individuals. It's simply not the culture, right? They have clans in Somalia, and clans often inbreed. You've got issues in a community like that, right? In a society like that. You have a mediocre at best IQ, which is demonstrable. There's facts about that in the Somali population. So imagine how nefarious the thought is, you know what we're going to do? Hey, Earl, get in here. Okay. So look, we're not getting anybody voting for us anymore. Black people have awakened. They've walked off the plantation. They know we suck. We promised them crap, never delivered. They're done with it, okay? We can't get the young people because we're not woke enough for them. And I don't think we can because that's just crazy. But we got to do something. I got to get some people in here. I got an idea. Boss, I got an idea. Somalians are involved in a civil war. So, well, we could bring a bunch of them here like we did with the Afghanis, right? The same story. Get in the plane, everybody. Hurry up. Bring in your goat, whatever you got. We're flying, right? Who are you bringing into our country? 95,000 people that they could set up to be Democrat voters. We're going to bring these people here, and it's through them, this conduit of their society, that we're going to run the most outlandish scheme ever. And as a payoff to allow us to do that, we're going to let these Somalians ship back a couple $1,000,000 a week to their homeland. How does that sound? That sounds like the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life. Well, that's what's been going on. Feels like it, right? So Brandon Gill, he's a congressman. Is he Texas or Florida? He's Texas.
It's Texas.
He files a bill to ban Somali immigration to the United States for 25 years. I don't think I don't find anything discriminatory about that. And I know people would be like, well, it's discriminating against these people. No, these people have been ripping us off because they've been allowed to. Because people like Tim Walz and Keith Ellison and these two quacks at the Department of Human Services there in Minneapolis, in Minnesota, have been allowing this outlandish fraud, autism, daycare, home health care, transportation, all of it to go on. So Congressman Brandon Gill has announced he's filed legislation to slap a 25-year moratorium on Somali immigration. He didn't hold back, declaring in a post on X on Wednesday, mass Somali immigration makes life worse for Americans. That's why I filed a bill today to stop it. The post links directly to an interview with the Dallas Express, in which Gill lays out his case against the fundamental transformation of Texas communities through Islamic migration. He's like, look, we have a huge problem in Texas, particularly in the Dallas area, with mass Islamic migration. And Gill cited welfare fraud and high crime rates, Somali immigrants to unapproved school visits promoting Sharia law, and sprawling mosque developments as part of the problem. He's like, this is a simple recognition that mass immigration from Somalia does not make the United States better off. Somali immigrants use welfare at rates that are significantly higher than Americans. They have crime rates that are significantly higher than Americans. That doesn't do anything to make life better for us. Most Americans and most Texans don't want to be woken up at 6 a.m. hearing a Muslim call to prayer. I certainly don't, Gill said. They don't want Sharia law in their communities, in their state, in this country, in any way whatsoever. The proposed legislation would not impact those already here legally, including green card holders and diplomatic visa recipients, but slams the door on future arrivals. He's also sponsored legislation to denaturalize legal immigrants who have engaged in fraud. And then this is the footnote that the Dallas Express reports. Across America, 81% of Somali immigrant households are on welfare, right? According to a 2025 report by the nonprofit Center for Immigration Studies. Meanwhile, in Minnesota, With the nation's highest Somali population, 73% of such immigrants are on Medicaid, while 54% are on food stamps. But why are they so rich? Why are they living in these beautiful homes, driving Mercedes-Benz and Lexi all over the place? Why are they sending suitcases full of cash? It just doesn't seem to make sense, does it? I agree. Congressman Gill, I think you look like Clark Kent, so I like you anyway. But I like how you think. Don't defraud our people. Pack your bags and get out. Love having you on the Wendy Bell Radio program. Follow us, wendybellradio.com. Love you guys. See you tomorrow. Peace.